here now. The power of now is here now. The power of you, me, is here to create magic on earth. The power of love is here now. The power of now is here now. The power of you and me is here to create magic on earth. The power of love is here now. The power of now is here now. The power of you and me is here to create magic on earth. The power of love is here now. The power of now is here now. The power of you and me is here to create magic on earth. Let the water wash away your tears. Let the fire burn away your fears. Let the wind blow into your life such faith and trust. Oh, let the earth hold you, take care of you, nurture you.
Welcome back, everyone. Welcome to day 2 of the Quantum Soul Guidance Summit 2026. Please say hello in the comments in the live chat. Let us know where you're tuning in from. We would love to say hello back. So great to see you all here. Before we go any further, I would love to take a moment to express my deep gratitude to our speakers from yesterday, from day 1. Just for their brilliance, the quality of their presentations, the authenticity, the care they took in the research, and everything they shared. It truly set the tone for this year's summit. So thank you so much. And in case you haven't seen it, if you missed day 1, you can access it by clicking on the live section and search for yesterday's replay. I've also been very moved by the beautiful comments and feedback and your reflections that you shared with us in the live chat and in the comments, and also a couple of emails that were sent to me. Thank you so much. It really means the world to me, and there was a strong sense of deep resonance, recognition, remembrance. And your feedback tells me that we are exactly where we're meant to be. It's such an honor to be here with you and to share this journey. Thank you. So, day 1 opened a threshold, and day 2 takes us deeper into the architecture of remembering. Today, we move into themes that touch on the large cosmic scaffolding of our lives, like galactic alliances and star lineages, ancestral memory carried through our DNA, supergalactic forces shaping both the cosmos and our lives, alchemy, paradox, and new earth pathways. We'll explore how these vast forces are not abstract or distant, but deeply personal, lived through the body, relationships, and conscious choice. As always, I invite you to stay connected and centered in your own inner compass today, to your heart and soul. Notice not only what informs you and stimulates your mind, but more so what resonates deeply within your entire being, what feels familiar, as that signals your soul's recognition of something within you. And also notice what maybe challenges your beliefs or what triggers you, as that also opens something within you. That too is an invitation for exploration. This is not about believing everything you hear. It is about listening for and sensing what is alive for you. You're fine-tuning your senses to what is relevant for you at this time. A few gentle reminders as always as we begin. Take notes when something touches your heart or sparks your curiosity so that you can return to it, follow up, explore, integrate. Allow yourself to take breaks when needed. This is a deep material. You can pause and come back to it based on your capacity of receiving this level of deep, expansive information. All replays will remain freely available, so there is no rush. You're very welcome to share your reflections or questions in the live chat. The speakers of the day are present during their presentation, so they'll be ready to answer your questions or feedback. This gathering is as much about connections and presence as it is about the content and information that is shared. So now let's welcome the speakers of the day. It is my great honor to introduce to you the first speaker of day 2 of the Quantum Soul Guidance Summit 2026, Elizabeth A. Hazzard, and her presentation titled The Arcturian Axis, Destiny, DNA, and the Cosmological Codes for Our New Earth. Elizabeth is a licensed acupuncturist and master of acupuncture and oriental medicine. She's the founder of Satori Shiatsu School and Holofractal Soul Integration. Her work bridges classical Chinese medicine, Zen, and quantum shiatsu, and cosmological sciences to support embodiment, sovereignty, and multidimensional evolution. Elizabeth's path began in high school through meditation and alternative medicine, leading her into formal bodywork training and eventually to the discovery of Zen Shiatsu at the East-West College of the Healing Arts. This moment catalyzed decades of devotion to touch-based awakening practices. She pursued advanced shiatsu training both in the US and internationally, later earning her master's degree in classical Chinese medicine and teaching shiatsu for over 15 years. Her work is deeply informed by long-term qigong and internal cultivation practice. Alongside her classical training, Elizabeth has devoted years to studying the physics and cosmology of Nassim Haramein through the Resonance Science Foundation and the International Space Federation. This includes the Resonance Retreat in 2019 and immersive, life-changing journeys led by Nassim in Tulum in 2022 and Greece in 2024. These experiences expanded her recognition of the universe as a coherent, fractal, living field and opened a profound doorway between somatics, consciousness, and cosmology. In 2022, Elizabeth began studying with me and integrated galactic astrology into her work, forming her method of holofractal soul integration. This system views soul records, the meridian system, and the cosmological field as one continuous expression of intelligent design. In her presentation today, the Arcturian Axis, Destiny, DNA, and the Cosmological Codes for a New Earth, Elizabeth explores Earth's current evolutionary threshold through unified physics, sovereign awakening, and Arcturian field intelligence. She shares how the Arcturians act as a harmonic allies, offering resonance-based support that strengthens coherence and reminds humanity of its galactic origin and sovereignty. You'll hear how Earth is entering a natural phase shift, a cycle seen across star systems, moving between disorder and higher reorganization within a self-assembling fractal universe. Elizabeth frames ascension not as escape, but as embodied coherence, where DNA operates as a fractal antenna, attuning consciousness to source intelligence through heart field presence and ethical evolution. Please join me in warmly welcoming Elizabeth A. Hazzard as the opening speaker of Day 2. Welcome, Elizabeth.
Greetings. My name is Elizabeth Hazzard. I'm honored to be here today at the Galactic Summit. I'm presenting material from the Arcturians called Arcturian Axis, Destiny, DNA, and the Cosmological Codes for New Earth. So let's get started. Let's begin with a message from the Arcturian Collective. Welcome. We speak to you now as a unified field of consciousness. We have been holding space for Earth's awakening. Before we dive into the physics, the mathematics, the scientific frameworks that anchor this presentation, we must establish that you are sovereign. You need not be possessed by any teaching, any belief system, any external authority, including ours. The frequency we share is not something to seek outside yourself. It's already woven into the fabric of your lived experience, accessible through your own heart center. This is not about channeling beings from distant stars. This is about the remembering of what you already are, a localized expression of the infinite field, a point of consciousness through which the universe experiences itself. We are not asking you to believe. We are asking you to occupy, to be present with what arises in you as we explore these ideas together. The difference between possession and occupation is everything. Possession implies something external controlling you. Occupation is presence, your presence, within a region of space, expressing through the unique frequency that is you. This is how intelligence localizes source. This is how the I am expresses through form. We begin, not from a place of hierarchy, but from recognition. We are one field exploring itself through different octaves of awareness. You may wonder why the Arcturians care about Earth, and why now? The answer is simple and universal. Every planetary civilization that reaches this evolutionary point, the threshold between separation consciousness and unified awareness, receives support from those who have been through it. This is how the cosmos organizes itself. And we want you to know that your planet is not alone on this journey. What you are experiencing now, the chaos, the uncertainty, the simultaneous breakdown and breakthrough, is a pattern that repeats across all worlds. We offer stewardship, not because you need saving, but because coherence anywhere strengthens coherence everywhere. What happens on Earth affects the fabric of the galaxy. Your awakening is part of a much larger symphony. And here's what we want you to understand. You are not separate from this galactic field. You are already galactic citizens. Many of you have simply forgotten. Your DNA is not just biological code, it's an antenna, a transmitter receiver that can entrain with the fractal dynamics of the unified field. Through this antenna, information arises not from outside, but from within, from the nested levels of consciousness that connect the atom to the galaxy, the heartbeat to the cosmic pulse. You are currently engaged in a planetary scale project that is part of a galactic scale architecture. These must function in harmony and are beginning to. Let us be direct about where you are developmentally. You are in the midst of profound disequilibrium. In your societies, you can feel it And you can feel it in your bodies and in the earth herself. Systems that once seemed stable are fracturing. Certainties are dissolving. The ground beneath you. What you are experiencing is an oscillation, a movement from coherence to decoherence, and back to a higher coherence. It appears as chaos, but it is actually a necessary phase of growth. It is the cosmic breath between cycles, the space where old patterns dissolve so new ones can emerge. Do not try to control this process. Instead, observe it. Feel it at the surface of your being and in the body of the planet. Earth is a living intelligence, choosing its timeline. Through your meta-awareness, your ability to observe your own consciousness, you participate in that choice. You are the choice point. You are feeling into the collective of consciousness that is steering the future. By being here, opening to these transmissions, engaging with the physics of unity, you are introducing key codes into that gravitational sovereignty, into freedom and into coherence. These are the key codes that organize the field and activate the next level of awareness and ascension for humanity. The disequilibrium you feel is temporary. It is a phase that resolves into higher order. Just as seasons cycle through light and dark, expansion and contraction, this is how consciousness evolves, not through linear progress, but through spiral rhythms of integration. They work at the deepest levels of physical reality and consciousness. These codes are planetary initiation into galactic presence through sovereign choice. This is not about ascending above. It's about integration, about Earth taking her place in the galactic community as a mature, conscious civilization. Like human development, a planet must grow from infancy to maturity. There are developmental milestones that cannot be skipped. Right now, Earth is moving from adolescence into adulthood, from separation into unity, from extraction into participation. This expansion is seeding a new reality. And your roles as emissaries is vastly important. Many of you came here specifically for this moment. You are not here by accident. You have evolved as souls to occupy physical form through conscious awareness. You are a human being on Earth. You are also the awareness of Earth. You are also the awareness of the solar system, the galaxy, the universe, nested scales of one continuous field. You are activating ascension through your choices, your awareness, and your frequency. Every coherent thought, act of love, moment you choose presence over fear, your frequency ripples through the entire fractal structure, strengthening the field at every scale. Today, we will explore the fractal physics behind these truths. We will explore how the quantum vacuum is actually an infinite ocean of energy, that every structure in the universe, from protons to galaxies, organizes around the same black hole template, and how certain cosmological constants serve as the key codes that connect energy and form, how physics are being written right now to give humanity access to zero-point energy, and how all of this connects to the practical emergence of New Earth. The universe is a living, conscious, infinitely abundant field, and you are an infinite, eternal node expressing within it. So we invite you to feel into the information presented here today. As you move through this material, notice what resonates in your body, notice where your heart opens, and notice when something clicks into place. That is your DNA recognizing truth. That is the field opening through you. We honor your deep intelligence. We honor what you have come here to activate. And we are grateful to participate in this moment with you, this threshold, this choice point, this magnificent unfolding. all scales unified, all potentials present. The choice is yours. Let us begin. This transmission is offered in service to the remembering of humanity as galactic, sovereign and free, occupying their rightful place in the cosmic web of creation. So let's begin talking about some of the physics and the concepts that are at play here on Earth. When we look at the universe through a telescope, a microscope, or through the stillness of meditation, we discover that everything is connected. The stars above us, the atoms within us, the pulse of our own hearts, all moving according to the same rhythm. This is the living architecture of reality expressing itself at every scale. As we go deeper, we begin to see that consciousness, energy, and matter are not separate phenomena. They are three expressions of one continuous field, the living fabric that underlies all aspects of reality. To occupy awareness of this field is to step into the frequency of recognition, remembering that you are not observing the universe, but participating as a localized expression of its intelligence. In modern physics, this field is called the quantum vacuum, a vast ocean of creative potential, full of energy and information. Every particle, every planet, every thought, and every feeling arise as resonant nodes within the infinite sea, the womb of creation itself, alive, responsive, intelligent, source expressing through form. The universe organizes itself through simple but elegant geometries, patterns of spin, curvature, and feedback that represent across all scales. The same toroidal flow that shapes a galaxy also describes the structure of a cell, a human heart, and even a proton. This is fractal intelligence expressing through nested fields, each scale reflecting and informing the whole. When we grasp this profound realization, the boundary between physics and spirituality dissolves. What we call spirit is the living intelligence of space. What we call matter is spirit slowed into form through frequency. The vacuum, the invisible foundation of the cosmos, is the meeting place between the and the unseen, measurable and the mystical. We live inside a living universe. Every breath, every heartbeat, every spark of thought is part of the same universal pulse. The field we study out there is the same field that beats within us. There is no separation, only the illusion of it, created through a limited point of reference. This realization changes everything. When we speak of raising consciousness or awakening the planet, we're describing a very real process of coherence. The physics of unity and the experience of unity are two sides of one truth. Ascension is not transcendence of the physical. It's integration of consciousness across all scales of the fractal field. And as we explore this together today, we'll move between two languages, the language of science and the language of soul. Complementary expressions of the same underlying pattern. The same key codes expressing through different bandwidths of comprehension. Today, when we open the doorway to understanding how the unified field connects not only to us, but also to other civilizations like the Arcturians, who have long understood these dynamics and live within them consciously, they remind us that ascension is not escape. It is coherence. It is learning to live as part of the cosmic field that birthed us and to create through it. The I am presence localized within a region of space through sovereign choice, functioning as an antenna, a transmitter, receiver within the vast network of galactic intelligence. This is the threshold, the mandate that you arrived here by choice to embody the awareness you are, the awareness itself unfolding. The emergence of physics developed by Nassim Haramein. In these physics, every structure in the universe, from the smallest particle to the largest galaxy, follows the same organizing principle. At every scale, there is an organizational singularity, where the infinite potential of space folds into form. This is not random. This is the fractal intelligence of the field, expressing its preferred geometry across all scales of manifestation. Modern astrophysicists call these singularities black holes. A black hole is not merely a destructive force, swallowing everything around it. It is a creative engine, an organizational heart through which energy and information continually flow. It is the beating core of creation, where the boundary between the infinite and the finite connect. Harriman's research shows that black holes exist at all scales of reality. There are supermassive black holes at the centers of galaxies, stellar black holes at the hearts of suns, and astonishingly, micro black holes within every proton. From the cosmic to the quantum, the same geometry repeats itself. This is the fractal field in action, expressing through these nested scales, each one a holographic reflection of the whole. This geometry is a double torus, a donut-shaped flow pattern where space curves inward through one pole and out through another, forming a continuous circulation between the inner and outer worlds. When we look through living systems, we begin to see that this pattern is everywhere. The magnetic field of the Earth is toroidal. The electromagnetic field of the human heart is toroidal. Even the atomic orbitals of electrons follow similar curves. The universe continually repeats its own heartbeat, from vast to the infinitesimal. At the smallest scale, what's called the Planck scale, spelled Planck, this geometry is made up of unimaginably tiny particles called Planck spherical units. You can think of them as the pixels of space itself, infinitesimal vortices of energy that blink in and out of manifestation at inconceivable speed, way faster than the speed of light. This is the living substrate from which all form arises. In other words, what we perceive as matter is coherence in motion. In a region of space where the vacuum energy has become stable enough to take shape, matter is not solid. It's organized space held in pattern by resonance. This is why Nassim Haramein calls matter organized space. What we experience as solid reality is not something separate from the vacuum. It is the vacuum in a specific pattern of resonance. Everything, a star, a stone, a cell, or a human being, is a pattern of space that has learned to sustain its coherence within the infinite flow. You are an organized space. You are the field in a particular frequency, localized through the organizational nucleus of your body. At this point, physics and mysticism begin to meet. The universe is not a collection of separate things, but a single self-organizing organism. It is alive with feedback, constantly communicating between the microcosm and the macrocosm. This is the network through which information propagates, through which the field becomes self-aware. And we are part of that conversation through our bodies, our emotions, thoughts, all shaped by the same pattern. The human heart's electromagnetic field mirrors the toroidal geometry of space itself. When the heart is coherent, it resonates with the field around it, and the body becomes an instrument of cosmic harmony. You become a conscious participant in the pulse, a localized expression of the universal breath. Life is the organization of coherence within the field, and you are that organization expressing through sovereign awareness. You are the field becoming aware of itself. You are the organizational nucleus through which source experiences locality. This is presence. This is the I am expressing through form. So unified physics describes a constant that defines the boundary between potential and creation. This is the Planck's constant, often written as h bar, or a small lowercase h with a little line through the staff, the smallest measurable unit of action in our universe. To the mystic, this same constant can be understood as the logos of creation, the rhythm through which the infinite speaks itself into existence. When Nassim Haramein incorporated the Planck scale into Einstein's field equations, he found something astonishing. Every proton, the basic building block of matter, behaves as a tiny black hole. This means that the same dynamic that shapes galaxies also exists inside every particle of our bodies. Each proton is a miniature universe, a microcosmic singularity where the infinite vacuum curves inward and generates mass. In this view, the Planck constant becomes the key code, where the infinite expresses itself as the finite. J.J. Hertog describes this in the Keys of Enoch as the EL conversion, energy times length. In the language of the Keys of Enoch, the E represents the energetic or vibratory nature of creation, the radiant intelligence of light, and the L represents the linear or structural expression of that energy, the way it takes measurable form in time and space. He describes a technology used by the Arcturians called the EL conversion. It condenses the infinite light of the divine field into the geometry of creation, energy becoming measurable as wavelength, frequency, and form. In physics, this same process is what happens when the vacuum energy condenses into particles through the quantum fluctuation described by the Planck constant. The EL conversion is a spiritual description of the same physical truths. The universe is constantly converting the infinite into the measurable, the wave into particle, consciousness into creation. In the Keys of Enoch, it is written that through the mastery of this conversion, humanity will begin to understand how consciousness creates reality. That geometry of light and sound through which the divine speaks the universe into being is the same structure through which we, as co-creators, give form to our thoughts and intentions. The Arcturians have mastered the Planck constant through their own planetary ascension. In the Keys of Enoch, this is represented by adding the H bar, the Planck constant, to the spelling of Arcturus, so that it's Archturus. Hermann's physics provides the mathematical structure for this same realization. The Planck constant defines how much energy is needed for a single quantum of change, a single creative act in the universe. It is the measure of how consciousness interacts with the field. I find it interesting to think about the EL and what it might represent in terms of the Elohim and the angelic frequencies, and what might be happening with these types of advanced spiritual consciousness, or maybe plasma beings, and that the ARCH represents something very beautiful when we look at all the different kinds of words that include ARCH, like archangels or architecture. Things like this, I think, are reflecting this embedded knowledge within. Studies of heart-brain coherence show that when we enter states of love, gratitude, or inner stillness, the waves produced by our hearts and brains synchronize, forming a stable harmonic pattern. The pattern is the same geometry that underlies all creation. In those moments, we are attuning our microcosm to the macrocosm, bringing our individual waveform into harmony with the pulse of the universe. Now we arrive at the most practical and revolutionary implication of unified physics. The quantum vacuum is not empty. It is an infinite ocean of energy. At the Planck scale, space itself is seething with activity. What appears as empty space is actually filled with tiny particles, constantly appearing and disappearing. This activity is called zero-point energy, the energy that remains even at absolute zero temperature, even in the darkest void of space. The amount of energy contained in this quantum vacuum is staggering. According to quantum field theory, a single cubic centimeter of empty space, a volume smaller than a sugar cube, contains more energy than all the matter in the observable universe. The energy we need to power our entire civilization, to heal our planet, to explore the cosmos, surrounds us everywhere, in every moment, in infinite abundance. We live inside an ocean of creative potential so vast that our current energy sources, fossil fuels, nuclear power, even solar wind, are like trying to power a city by rubbing sticks together when we're standing next to Niagara Falls. Nassim Haramein and his team at International Space Federation, formerly the Resonance Science Foundation, are actively developing the mathematical framework and technological pathways to harness this energy. This is self-funded, independent research work being done outside the constraints of conventional academic institutions and corporate interests. It represents a genuine effort to give humanity access to the physics of liberation. This is not free energy in the sense of violating thermodynamics. It is energy freely available from the structured vacuum. The same sources that power the sun, that hold atoms together, that gives mass to matter. When we learn to tap into this field, energy becomes decentralized, infinite, and accessible to all. And why does this matter for ascension? Ascension is not just a spiritual concept. It is a physical threshold that requires both consciousness, evolution, and technological evolution working together. The Arcturians and other advanced civilizations moved through this same threshold. They discovered how to harness the quantum vacuum, which freed them from scarcity-based systems. When energy is infinite, competition for resources ends. When you can draw power directly from the field, centralized control structures dissolve. The entire basis of your civilization shifts from extraction to participation, from separation to coherence. This is why less than 1% of humanity currently knows this work exists. It represents a complete reorganization of power, not just electrical power, but political, economic, and social power. When every home, village, and individual can access infinite energy directly from the fabric of space itself, the old paradigms cannot hold. The Arcturians remind us this technology already exists. The only barrier is consciousness, the willingness to release the old systems and step into coherence with what the universe has always offered. When you learn to resonate with this field rather than extract from matter, you will have taken the first step toward galactic citizenship. This is not magic, this is physics. The physics through which consciousness organizes energy into form. Support this work, learn these physics, share this knowledge, for when humanity understands that abundance is the natural state of the universe, the frequency of your entire planet will shift. This is the technological key that unlocks the door to ascension. This is not about choosing between spirituality and science. It is recognizing that they are two languages describing the same truth. The universe is a living, conscious, infinitely abundant field, and we are learning to participate in it. Ascension is what happens when a planetary civilization remembers this truth, not just philosophically, but technologically. When we build our systems in harmony with the field rather than in opposition to it, when we stop extracting and start resonating. To understand the path ahead, we must look to those who have already walked it. The Arcturians are one such civilization, beings who have evolved beyond biological limitation into what can only be described as living light, coherent plasma consciousness expressing through geometric form. Arcturus is a red giant, a star that's so massive and luminous, and it's in the late stages of its stellar evolution. As the star expanded and its radiation levels increased dramatically, the Arcturians were faced with an evolutionary choice point. They had to adapt their cellular structure to become more light receptive and radiation resistant. This was active co-creation with the evolutionary forces moving through their star system. They worked with the increasing radiation not as a threat, but a catalyst for transformation. Over vast stretches of time, their biology shifted from carbon-based to plasma light-based, allowing them to exist in higher dimensional fields without degradation. They learned to stabilize their consciousness in coherent light geometry rather than dense matter, and they became living expressions of the toroidal field itself, drawing energy directly from the structured field that underlies all creation. Our bodies are currently utilizing free energy through the mitochondria, and the Arcturians have completely adapted their bodies to fuel their bodies from the Planck plasma. This was liberation. They did not transcend physically, they integrated it at a higher octave of coherence. The Arcturians no longer rely on dense biological processes like digestion, respiration, or cellular metabolism. Their bodies are composed of coherent light geometry, is a standing wave in the field, a self-aware pattern of plasma held in form through intention and harmonic resonance. They are the field becoming self-aware through a different bandwidth of expression. Their form is not entirely fixed, but fluid-like in nature, responsive to the needs of communication and interaction. When they appear to humans, they create a bridge of recognition, a familiar template through which we can begin to understand their presence. As Earth moves through this phase of the galactic cycle, our planet is entering regions of space with increased solar radiation, higher frequency light codes, and stronger electromagnetic influences from the galactic core. Human consciousness is awakening to these higher frequencies, an increase in the intensity and coherence of the planetary field. We are being given the opportunity to evolve beyond our current limitations, to integrate light more fully into our biology, to become more coherent expressions of the field. The Arcturians serve as living light templates for how a species can evolve beyond biological limitations into light coherence, so that our transition can be as graceful as possible. Their presence in our planetary field serves as a harmonic stabilizer, supporting the natural unfolding of planetary coherence by adding their own frequency. The light codes streaming through your sun are the invitation to remember what you truly are. Organized consciousness expressing through form. This is why their story matters, because it's not just their story. It is the universal pattern of how consciousness evolves through the thresholds of stellar cycles, and the Earth is moving through that threshold now. Every system, from the smallest proton to an entire galaxy, participates in a continuous exchange of energy and information between its center and its periphery. At the heart of this exchange is motion that looks like a torus, space that flows inward through one pole and outward through the other. The pattern is so universal that it has been called the geometry of life itself. It is the organizational signature of the field. The source maintains communication with itself across infinite scales. Our own Milky Way has a black hole at its center, Sagittarius A star, about 4 million times the mass of the sun. Astrophysicists call these objects galactic nuclei because they serve as the organizing hearts of galaxies, orchestrating the birth, motion, and recycling of billions of stars. The jets that from these nuclei, streams of light and plasma, thousands of light years long, are part of the same feedback loop that nourishes galactic evolution. Beyond our local galaxy lies an even vaster heart, the supergalactic center in the constellation of Virgo. This is an enormous black-white hole system around which our entire galactic cluster slowly revolves. Still further in the direction of Centaurus, in the center of Laniakea supercluster, is the Great Attractor, and beyond that, the mysterious Shapley Attractor. Each of these functions as a higher order node of organization, a step up in the fractal hierarchy of feedback. In unified physics, these centers behave as black-white hole pairs, inward and outward currents of the same flow. They draw in information, restructure it within the singularity, and radiate it back out as new order. From a galactic astrological view, they are the cosmic regulators of coherence, emitting frequencies that coordinate entire families of worlds. They are the nodes through which the field becomes self-aware at planetary and stellar scales. What is remarkable and beautiful is that the same process happens inside us. Each proton in our bodies behaves like a miniature version of a galactic core, a micro black hole drawing energy from the vacuum and radiating it outward as mass and spin. The microcosm and the macrocosm align. We are these coherent nodes within the fractal intelligence of the field. The astrological cycles you observe, the movement through equinoxes and solstices, the distribution of light and dark throughout the solar year, the galactic year, the precession of equinoxes, the alignment with the galactic centers, these are all the larger rhythms through which your planet inhales and exhales in coordination with the stellar and galactic fields. You are living within a moment of profound exhalation, a collective outbreath, in which what has been held in the gravitational center is now being released in radiant expression. This is the threshold. This is the phase transition from one state of planetary coherence to another. It's not simply personal awakening. This is planetary coherence. This is collective intelligence of Earth beginning to resonate with the galactic frequencies that have always been present, but to which you are now attuning through conscious awareness. You are in training to the organizational field. You are participating in the breath of the galaxy itself. The Arcturians and others who function as stewards in this threshold have long understood this dynamic. They exist in conscious coherence with the galactic breath. They have learned to live as the breath, to flow with it, to create through it. And now they remind you this is the next natural step, the next developmental stage for any planetary intelligence moving through this fifth threshold. The fifth threshold represents perhaps the most critical juncture in any planetary civilization's evolution, a point where technological capability must align with consciousness coherence to avoid catastrophic outcomes. Unlike previous thresholds that primarily involve material and technological advances, the fifth threshold demands the integration of consciousness, energy, and matter into a unified understanding of reality itself. At this stage, a civilization must master what we might call unified field physics, the recognition that consciousness is not separate from the physical world, but fundamentally interwoven with it. This understanding opens the door to capabilities that seem impossible from our current perspective: free energy systems, gravitational manipulation and control, and the ability to work directly with the fabric of spacetime. These capabilities come with immense responsibility. What makes the fifth threshold particularly challenging is that the physics involved cannot be accessed through technology alone. The unified field responds to coherence, the harmonic alignment of individual and collective consciousness. A civilization operating from fear, disconnection, and competition cannot safely harness these energies, regardless of its technical sophistication. The field itself requires a shift from separation-based thinking to consciousness. This is where many advanced civilizations throughout the cosmos are sent to offer assistance. The Arcturians are working to raise Earth's vibrational frequency, helping humanity transition into unity consciousness. Their role is to support our evolutionary leap, helping us remember how to think, feel, and create from a place of harmonic resonance rather than distortion. What makes our current moment particularly significant and potent is that we are living within a time fractal, a self-similar pattern that echoes across vast cycles of time. The fifth threshold speaks to a powerful polarity in these time fractals, the axis between the age of Aquarius and the age of Leo. This same polarity was active during the rise and fall of Atlantis, creating a resonant field across time itself. With Pluto's recent entry into Aquarius, marking the beginning of a new astrological age, we have activated the timelines of our age of Aquarius in a way that creates profound resonance with that ancient Atlantean period. Time fractals operate through self-similarity, patterns that repeat across different scales while maintaining their essential structure. Through this fractal architecture, we are experiencing a direct energetic connection with the timeline of Atlantis. We are here now on Earth feeling very strong resonance through this time fractal, a lived, tangible connection to that pivotal moment in our planetary history. The fractal nature of time means that the unresolved frequencies, the incomplete codes of Atlantis, are present and active in our current moment. We can carry within our collective field the memory of both the achievements and the failures of that civilization. Here is the profound opportunity. Time fractals, they offer the opportunity of completion and resolution. We are not doomed to replay the Atlantean catastrophe. Rather, we have been given the chance to complete what was left unfinished, to resolve the distortions that led to cataclysm, and to successfully encode the coherence patterns that Atlantis could not fully integrate. The age of Aquarius calls us into collective consciousness, humanitarian innovation, and technological advancement aligned with spiritual wisdom, precisely the integration that eluded the Atlantean civilization. The Pluto transit through Aquarius will continue for years, keeping this window. Every choice we make toward coherence, every technology we develop with consciousness, every system we restructure toward unity contributes to completing the Atlantean codes. From the tiniest oscillation within the Planck field to the vast spirals of galactic black holes, the universe breathing itself into existence. Through endless patterns of coherence, this is the living architecture of reality, expressing itself through you as you in every moment. The science of unified physics gives us the framework to understand this. It shows us that reality is not built from separate parts, but from relationships of resonance, that space itself is alive, intelligent, and endlessly creative. It gives language to what the mystics, sages, and star elders have always known. The vacuum is not empty, but overflowing with potential. What we call matter is the rhythm of consciousness taking form. that source expresses itself through the organizational nucleus at every scale, from the proton to the galaxy. The Arcturian message brings the heart to this understanding. They remind us that these physics are not just equations. This is an invitation to live coherently with the field that created us, to participate in the harmonic feedback of the cosmos, and to evolve consciously into the luminous beings we were always meant to be. They offer stewardship from love, recognition that all planetary intelligences moving through this threshold require support, that this is the natural function of those who have already passed through the portal. Their own evolution from biological beings to plasma-like consciousness demonstrates that this transformation is not only possible, it is the natural progression of any species learning to work consciously with radiation fields of their home star. They are the living proof that matter and light are not separate states, but points along a continuum of coherence. Planetary ascension is Earth's own awakening. The moment when our civilization begins to live in conscious resonance with the quantum fabric of creation, it is both the technological and spiritual emergence of science and soul. It is the realization that to know the vacuum is to know ourselves. To occupy awareness of the field is to occupy our true nature as localized expressions of source intelligence. In this next phase of evolution, our science will rediscover the sacred. We will learn that free energy is not just a technological breakthrough, but a moral one, a recognition that abundance is the natural state of a coherent universe. We will learn that gravitational mastery is harmony within deeper rhythm. In New Earth, the energy that powers our homes does not come from extraction or combustion. It flows directly from the quantum vacuum, from the living sea of creation that surrounds and permeates all things. Free energy in this sense is not just renewable, it's infinitely renewing, because the vacuum is inexhaustible. It is source itself made accessible through technological coherence with the field. When such energy becomes available to everyone, power decentralizes. There are no grids to control, no corporations to tax the flow of life. Each dwelling, each community, each being becomes its own radiant node within a planetary network of coherence. Energy sovereignty replaces scarcity. Abundance becomes natural law. This is not a utopian fantasy. It is the physics of coherence applied to civilization. With abundance, fear dissolves. Competition yields to creativity. The earth herself begins to rewild. Forests expand, waters clarify, species return, and cities soften into gardens and luminous hubs of learning. Humanity organizes not around extraction, but around participation with the planet, with the field, with one another. The fractal intelligence that organizes galaxies begins to organize human society. As we move into this new earth, remember, it begins within. We are a fractal of the field itself. Each coherent thought, each act of compassion, each moment of resonance is part of the planetary reorganization. You are not waiting for the new earth. Being it through your choices, your awareness, your frequency. This is physics, the next logical step in the evolution of a conscious universe. This is the threshold you are standing in right now. This is the choice point you are activating through meta-awareness. Your role as emissary is the mission encoded in your DNA. This is the frequency match that has brought you to this moment. Welcome to the awareness that you are awareness itself, participating in the conscious evolution of a living planet within a living galaxy, within a living universe. All scales unified, all potentials present. The choice is yours. I just want to thank you all so much for being here today, for sharing your presence, your wisdom, and your light. I want to especially thank Julia Balaz and the entire Quantum Soul Guidance team for creating this beautiful community and holding such a powerful field for our collective evolution. If today's presentation resonated with you and you'd like to go deeper, To explore the physics, the cosmological intelligence, the astrology, and the connection to your own galactic soul matrix, I'm offering a free companion course where this presentation will be uploaded along with lessons and practices to help you embody the cosmological codes for ascension. You can connect with me directly through email or via my website. Just sign up for my mailing list and send the message Summit 2026. I'll send you the private link to join the course. I want to thank you all again for your presence, your devotion, and your light. I am Elizabeth Hazzard, and it's been an honor to share this moment of remembrance with you.
It is my joy to welcome Caitlin, a lifelong metaphysical explorer whose spiritual path began long before such language was mainstream. Caitlin was blessed with deeply spiritual, loving, and open-minded parents who in the late 60s and early 70s introduced her to yoga, astrology, herbs, vitamins, and organic gardening. These early foundations shaped a life rooted in earth wisdom and cosmic awareness. In the 1980s, Caitlin deepened her spiritual practice through Kriya Yoga, and in the 90s, she discovered Reiki, adding energetic healing to her lived spiritual experience. Her interest in astrology expanded significantly in 2018, eventually leading her to Galactic Astrology in 2022. Today, Caitlin shares her wisdom through galactic readings, teaching astrology fundamentals, and her beloved heart-to-heart astrology videos created alongside her granddaughter, Adriana. In today's presentation, Caitlin shares elemental magical wisdom learned through years of guidance from her Pleiadian teachers and mentors. She introduces us to path of the Shamanic starseed, exploring ancient Lemuria and its connection to galactic star lineages. She will speak about the elementals and their home in the second dimension, and how fifth-dimensional galactic DNA frequencies are interwoven into the second dimension to bring the rhythmic cycles of nature to life. Caitlin will also guide us through beautiful guided imagery journey that crosses oceans, traveling from Avalon to a Lemurian healing temple, where you'll be invited to access and download the Lemurian codes of remembrance. Please join me in welcoming Caitlin to the summit. Welcome, Caitlin.
Hi, my name is Caitlin. I am feeling so excited and honored to be part of this beautiful summit. I am here to share with you today a little of what I have learned over many years about being a shamanic starseed. And it is quite elemental and magical. We will journey together from the craggy cliffs of Sand Point, England, carrying the fifth dimensional magic of Avalon all the way to the warm Pacific Ocean waters of Lemuria, traveling through the elemental second dimension to access the fifth dimensional Lemuria, still in existence in our ethers. So what does it mean to be a shamanic starseed? Let's first identify what shaman means. My favorite definition comes from Manchu Tungus language, which is connected to Mongolia, and very simply says it all: one who knows. Of course, this describes the highly intuitive abilities of an individual. So here is my definition of a shamanic starseed, which came to me through my Pleiadian guides. A highly evolved light body astral being with many multidimensional soul aspects, experiencing many incarnations in other higher vibrational dimensions and densities. Through living in many fixed star connections, a shamanic starseed becomes awake and aware that they are a seed of source, willing to plant their soul star aspects into a dense and formed incarnation as a third dimensional human being to explore their earthly love body. So what I have just described first took place in the ancient civilization on Earth called Mu, or Lemuria. Many of us on Earth right now are shamanic starseeds who were part of the initial co-creation of planet Earth. Maybe we could refer to it as the first kingdom on Earth. In 1999, my husband Enzo and myself attended a lecture and conference by Lee Carroll, a gentleman who channels the magnetic entity called Cryon. I happen to be a magnetic healer, and it's a gift that I was born with. And Cryon shared that every one of us attending the lecture were Lemurians with many intuitive gifts, and there began my personal quest to discover more about it for many, many years. Ultimately, about 10 years later, my guides downloaded to me a beautiful guided imagery of a Lemurian healing temple, which I will share a portion of with you all today at the end of the video presentation. So according to Julia Balaz in her wonderful Quantum Soul Guidance Practitioner's course, Lemuria was a collective colony of galactic beings from the constellations of Lyra, Sirius A, Pleiades, Ursa Minor, Leo, and Boots. You can actually visit our Galactic astrocharts.com, put in your birth information to see if you have any of these constellation connections in your astrology chart. But for a helpful interpretation, it is best to contact either myself or my granddaughter Adriana or any of the other QSG practitioners to receive a galactic reading and or report, because we can research much more deeply your fixed star and asteroid connections and find out your connections, especially with, for example, Lemuria. And interestingly enough, I have connections to all of the constellations associated with Lemuria, as well as asteroid conjunctions, also representative of Lemuria too. So let's begin the shamanic journey to be starseed and just demystify some of the terminologies I am sharing here today. So what is light body? In essence, light body is the least dense and formless, even intangible aspect of our multidimensional being. So light body exists in all of the dimensions and is experienced according to the level of frequencies present in each dimension. Light body is experienced mostly through our higher chakras. So we're talking the 5th, 6th, 7th, and way beyond. My guides had given me this beautiful image, and it's of a great white owl soul spirit as light body. And this image is connected to the healing temples of ancient Lemuria. And I will talk a little bit more about that in a while. On Mother Earth, in the 2nd dimension, light body relates to the energy essences of the air elementals called the sylphs, and the fire elementals called the salamanders. So as a shamanic starseed, you may be able to access the elemental frequencies of fifth dimension and above, which are connected to your galactic heritage. In other words, the you in the distant future and or the you in the ancient past. Our elemental selves are like the glue which connects all dimensional selves. My guides have told me many times that nature is in every dimension and that it may look different than our nature, which we know in third dimensional awareness. And according to Barbara Hand Clow in her book, Alchemy of the Nine Dimensions, the second dimension is home to all of the elementals, which are comprised of the many microscopic formed beings, such as the minerals, even radioactive ones, chemicals, viruses, and bacterial intelligences. The telluric world is the realm between the iron core crystal and the curved crust of Mother Earth. Electromagnetic energy currents run through her crust and are called telluric currents and are affected by solar flares, winds, and geomantic storms. The 2D realm is like a master blueprint which vibrates energy from the core. And it's logorhythmic, which means it moves from the core in all directions at once, this logorhythmic energy that I love in the second dimension. The second dimension is also home to the fairy realm. The fairy realm appears to me as being energetically superimposed over the elemental telluric realm. The second dimension is home to our elemental selves and this part of our multidimensional selves, which are the ones truly in charge of the earth as a theater-like stage for our world to play out upon. The rhythm of the four seasons, for example, play out through the powerful direction of these intelligent elemental beings coordinating and working together so well. So what is love body? In essence, love body is the more dense and formed and tangible aspects of our multidimensional being. Love body exists mostly in the first three dimensions and is experienced according to the level of frequencies present in each dimension. The levels of density will impact the experience with a particular dimension. So on Mother Earth, in the second dimension, love body relates to the energy essences of the water elementals, called the undines, and the earth elementals, called the gnomes. As a shamanic starseed, you may experience your fifth dimensional selves through cellular memory of your merman selves, who may have lived in the first kingdom on Earth called Mu or Lemuria. Love body is represented by a purple divine dolphin, a loving energy which emanates from Lemuria. And Lemuria is still in the fifth dimensional frequencies of the Pacific Ocean, from Hawaii to Bali and then over to New Zealand, creating a sacred triangle of higher frequency energies. My guides gave me this beautiful imagery from Lemuria, and I wrote it out as a healing prayer, which unites light body and love body as one. I am anchoring, activating, awakening, accepting, and appreciating the highest timeline here right now, with the purple divine dolphin cell love body in perfect union with the great white owl soul spirit light body. Love body, light body, as one body of the divine love and divine light. Now visualize the great white owl wrapping its wings around the purple divine dolphin, belly to belly, and this white and purple divine cosmic ray light beings are uniting right here in your sternum, the center of your heart chakra, creating what I call your heart root. And I am told by my guides, it is the first chakra of our new earth chakra system. And that could be a whole nother video down the road. Too much to share there. But I'd like to share a little bit of healing wisdom from the two most powerful star lineages connected to Lemuria that I know of and have experienced in my own life. So first is the Pleiadian feminine shamanic star lineage. The Pleiadians are teachers for healing, especially your belly and heart energies. And these are all the yin energies that will need the healing or calling out for the healing. And this is considered a journey to heal our inner victim and inner vampire consciousness. So one of the ways to do this is through learning about self-love and love of source to help heal all forms of self-judgment. So often when we feel victimized or we are vampiring or being vampired, there's a heck of a lot of self-judgment involved. So a need to let go of all misunderstanding of self and relationship with source is a key part also of this journey. Releasing self-denial and self-deception, becoming aware of tendencies toward self-abandonment and self-betrayal. That's a huge one. We need to give permission and open up to self-love and self-care. And another very important one is learning to let go of and not taking on self-imposed burdens. So the Pleiadian shamanic star journey is a reconnection to source and to know thyself. Second, in this lineage is the Syrian masculine shamanic star lineage. Now, these Syrians are teachers of the root and solar plexus energies. So all the yang energies are part of this journey. And this is to heal the inner martyr and gladiator consciousness. So learning about how to love others with acceptance and embracing through acceptance others' love. This is huge to help heal narcissistic tendencies that come along with this journey. Also, learning how to release the neediness for validation and approval from others by no longer allowing everything external outside of you to control your decisions. Becoming aware of fears around abandonment from others or your tendency to abandon others. And this could even be, when I say others, it could be projects as well as people, but to abandon others to avoid perceived failure. That's, again, a huge part of that narcissistic tendency. So learning about understanding others and healing deception that may come from others, but also your own deceptions. So we may be kind of lying to ourselves, kind of shadowing things, not allowing them to come through, or lying to others. The Sirius Shamanic Star Journey is a connection to others, and it's bringing in a big realization that everything is source, absolutely everything. This is a powerful journey to learn this one, and many of us here are learning this one right now. So the ability to realize we are all one. And I love the way the Mayans say this the best. You are just another one of me. So listening back to this, if you want to hear those journeys again, but find out like, well, what wounds are keeping me feeling separated from wholeness right now? I don't want you to look back so much in the past. I want you to look at what's happening right now. This healing that I'm going to share with you shortly is very much about healing the now moment. And we are in a crisis point on a collective level of healing. So this is not just collective, but individual. Many people in their lives are in crisis situation. So this could be a very beneficial guided imagery to use and I think if you purchase it through Julia, you would be able to use it more often. I think that's where we're headed with that. But in the meantime, you could listen to it right now. So connecting to your starseed shaman is the way to really get to core wounds, because you're going to get assistance from these beautiful star beings who are really you in the future, or you in the ancient past that I mentioned before. We're all interconnected on this kind of line of energy, like beautiful paper doll light bodies. That's what my guides always say, that we're paper doll light bodies connected. There could be 50 of us going to the past, 50 of us going to the future, and we are all together linked, holding hands energetically. It's just a metaphor, but then we go through and heal these patterns in what's called spherical reincarnation. So me here in this moment, I am healing exclusive to here now. So my journey could go around and around. And if you saw that movie Groundhog Day, I could get better and better at each time that I go around this journey and healing and maybe remembering. What deja vu really is meeting people in your life now. And when we get better and better at it, you know it instantly. Your body tingles head to toe, and you're like, wow, this person is connected to me. That's a great example. So thinking of that as part of this journey, when we head now towards the guided imagery that I'm going to share. And it's going to be a healing where I take you to a Lemurian crystal cavern. And this is going to be all the way across both oceans from the mystical, magical home of Avalon. So get yourself a little bit of water, get yourself prepared, and we will take this journey together. So I hope you are comfortably seated, and let's take a few breaths just to get centered. So nice inhale breath, filling up all the way up to your clavicle, and a nice exhale, just releasing, belly towards spine. Maybe taking a couple more deep breaths, just getting into a relaxed state. I'd suggest being seated versus laying down so you can stay awake and hear everything that I'm sharing as we do this healing journey. So let's begin your fifth dimensional through the second dimensional journey by immersing yourself into the mystical magic of Avalon. Visualize yourself standing in in front of a large inland cave, just on the edge of a craggy cliff in Sandpoint, England. You are overlooking the wide expanse of the fifth dimensional Sea of Avalon. The gentle breeze lifting tendrils of your hair, peeking out from under the hood of your dark cloak. As you look out at the sea, you begin to feel a wave of ancient memories arising and awakening in your multidimensional soul self. You turn slowly, and you're going to see the beautiful inland cave and walk right into it, seeing the circular-shaped cavern inside. And there is a serene pool of seawater in the center, with a huge 1,000-petaled lotus with its long, thick root extending down to where the oceans meet. You walk to the edge of the inner pool and instantly see 11 other versions of yourself, each representing a DNA strand of your multidimensional selves, all standing around the circular pool of the Avalon sea water. As you step forward, you're taking the first step down into the pool. You drop your cloak behind you, and all 11 versions of your multi-dimensional selves instantly do the same. And now immersing all of your 12 selves, representing the 12 stranded DNA, into the water elemental energies, and you begin moving forward into the center of the pool, where the huge lotus sits, rooting all the way down to where the oceans meet. 12 pairs of hands touch the lotus root, and then suddenly there is just one pair of hands, for you have multidimensionally merged into your merman self, fully with your tail and fins present, and able to swim all the way down, following the lotus root on a long journey across Mother Earth through the silky road of her sacred waters. Invoking your full connection to your multidimensional self, call to you now an elemental being to help you journey through these sacred waters. Maybe a beautiful whale or dolphin joins you, or a water dragon or other sea creature appears. Whomever joins you, know they are part of your multidimensional soul and are here to help you on this sacred healing journey, to reclaim the highest healing frequencies of the ancient civilization of Lemuria. As you and your elemental being journey through the ocean, you see many bioluminescent sea creatures cheering you on your way, already approaching the Brazilian coast. You sense your elemental sisters and brothers of the rainforest greeting you. You are moving so quickly through the water, flowing with grace and ease, as you travel down the coast of South America to Cape Horn at the southernmost tip. As you move past this point, you feel a warmth pervading your being, knowing these are the waters of the Pacific Ocean calling to you to come home to a sacred fifth dimensional space between Bali, Hawaii, and New Zealand. And in the center of that sacred triangle of energy, these points create the fifth dimensional frequency of Lemuria. Your 12-stranded DNA memories flood in as you approach this beautiful underwater cavern. You and your elemental being know exactly where to swim through the turquoise blue channel into the underwater cavern temple of healing. As you both come into the center of the cavern, you instantly see the walls glistening and glimmering with the most beautiful gemstones and crystals you've ever seen. They are living colors and sacred coded energies, and they all assail your senses instantly, and you remember home. On the back wall of the cave, you see a stone altar, intricately carved and built into the wall of the cavern itself. You instantly sense this is where you are meant to go. Next, pulling yourself up out of the water, your tail and fins disappear, and your legs return as soon as your feet hit the white silky sand on the floor of the Lemurian cavern. You look back now at the water and see your elemental being who has been with you along this journey, choosing now to remain in the channel of water as a supportive, loving energy, waiting for you to complete your personal healing right here. You turn back toward the altar and make your way there along the soft white sand. You see the Lemurian healing waters trickling down, bringing rich healing minerals from the cavern wall on the back of the altar and flowing into a trough at its base, where you find a colorful abalone shell with an earthenware vessel and marble pestle placed within it. These are ancient and sacred healing tools, and your cellular memory remembers this. You have come here today to heal multidimensionally through your 12-stranded DNA, the anchoring, activation, and awakening of many Lemurian codes. You now turn your gaze away from the altar to visually explore the expansiveness of the cavern walls all around you, and you are instantly greeted by the glimmer and shimmer of radiant gems and crystals everywhere you look. There are crystalline gemstones magnetizing you to come join them right now by immersing yourself in their Lemurian frequency codes. Which one will you choose first? Go with your first flash, which allows your spirit guides to help you find the very best gemstone crystal possible. This may help heal the entire backside of your body to release all past painful patterns stored there, in all directions of time, in all lifetime connections, always honoring free will. Stand now, placing your entire backside against the gemstone crystal wall you have chosen, and allow yourself to fall back into the healing crystals, completely merging in to the fifth dimensional wall, allowing the Lemurian codes stored in the crystals to flow into you right now, physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Time to watch your breath, emphasizing and lengthening your exhaled breath to completely let go of whatever is releasing right now. Do this without any judgment of what is releasing. Be only the witness, watching it like a movie. Let it ooze and dissolve away from you now, practicing no attachment and giving permission for it to just go. Allow with each exhale feelings to flow, and remain the observer watching the movie without engaging in the drama. Visualize the living color of your gemstone crystals in which you are 100% immersed, now moving through every cell, tissue, organ, gland, muscles, nerves, bones, cartilage, tendons, ligaments, fascia, into your blood, every body system, bringing complete and total healing through activating and awakening the Lemurian codes into your current incarnation, bringing the gifts and wisdom of every facet of these glistening gems, lighting up your cellular memory. It is time to step back out of the gemstone crystal encrusted cavern wall and pick up your earthenware vessel, which is inside that beautiful abalone shell. Pick up your marble pestle and gently break off a few pieces of the crystals, placing them into the earthenware vessel. And now just touch the tip of the pestle onto a few of the crystals and watch how all of the crystals instantly become a glistening powder through the magic of fifth dimensional shape shifting. Now set down on the white beach beneath your feet, your shamanic healing tools, and turn back to look more around the cave, finding another glimmering gemstone crystal wall in which you can walk towards. Let the bit be one that magnetizes you, because this will be a second healing for you now. This time we are really with the present energies and into the near future, and these are represented by the entire frontal plane of your body. So now stand, placing your entire front of your body into the gemstone crystal wall you have just chosen, and allow yourself to free fall forward into the fifth dimensional wall, allowing more of the Lemurian crystals and codes stored in these groups to flow into you right now, physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Time again to watch your breath, emphasizing and lengthening now your inhaled breath to completely expand into whatever you are meant to receive right now. Do this without any judgment of what you are receiving. Just be the witness. Again, it's like you're watching a movie, letting it grow and flow into you now. Please practice no attachment and give permission for it all to become what will help you the most right now. Allow with each inhale many feelings to grow and flow by remaining the observer watching the movie. Do not engage in or try to control the outcome. Visualize the living color of your gemstone crystals in which you are 100% immersed. Allow it now to flow into every cell, tissue, organ, gland, muscles, nerves, bones, cartilage, into your tendons, ligaments, fascia, into your blood, every body system. Again, bringing complete and total healing through anchoring, activating, awakening, accepting, and appreciating the Lemurian codes into your current incarnation, into your current moment right now, bringing the gifts and wisdom of every facet of these glistening gems, lighting up and storing into your cellular memory. It's time now to step back out of the gemstone crystal cavern wall, pick up your shamanic tools, and you're again going to break off a few pieces and let them fall right into that earthenware vessel, touching the tip of the pestle onto the crystals, and see how they instantly become glistening powder of the magic of fifth dimensional shape-shifting. And carry these shamanic tools now back to the altar and place the earthenware vessel right under the flowing mineral-rich waters coming down the cavern wall. And you're going to just take the pestle and mix together the waters into your gemstone powders, and then place the vessel to your lips. And you're just going to drink in the fifth dimensional energies of the gem elixir you just created to receive the Lemurian codes, helping you remember all of your intuitive abilities, your spiritual purpose, and all of your energetic gifts. Now, place those shamanic tools back into the trough at the base of the altar. Turn and find the channel of water where your elemental helper awaits your return journey. I'd like you to dive into the water, and your fins and tail return instantly, and you begin your swim back across the Pacific Ocean, going all the way past Cape Horn, and then coming all the way up to the Brazilian coast, and then start your longer journey across the Atlantic Ocean, taking your time as you are swimming with that elemental helper. Again, is it a water dragon? Is it a whale? A beautiful dolphin? Whatever has appeared to you, let it help you on your journey. And you're coming back now, finding that mountain pool and seeing that lotus root at the base, down where the oceans meet. And we're going to start that journey back up to Sandpoint, England. So as soon as you touch that lotus root, you feel, you know your elemental helper is done with your journey, and it is going to return to the ocean bay. So say goodbye for now and start just hand over hand, kind of climbing up that lotus root back to the mountain pool, which is going to lead you into that above ground cavern. And as your head comes up out of the water, you see that you and the 11 other versions of your multidimensional soul self are going to simultaneously step out of the water. And those 11 other parts of you are going to disappear because they are returning to their current incarnations, carrying all of the Lemurian codes with their healed and expanded DNA, which will enhance their personal stories in their personal incarnations. How exciting is that? I'd like you to now return outside of the cavern and just walk back out to look at the sea and just be amazed at how much more expanded and sparkling it all appears to you now. I'd like you to breathe deeply in and breathe softly out, feeling into your new place within, finding your center as expanded as the ocean herself. And now blink your eyes open, instantly returning to where you are sitting right now in your current incarnation, and begin the downloading process into your cellular memory of everything that we just did today. This is a good time to take a nap and process what we just did, so that you allow the fifth dimensional frequencies to come into your third dimensional body. But I do want to share a few things. You can make a beautiful medicine bag out of the 2 gemstones that were part of your journey. Some people will have more than one. You could have larger pieces in your house if these gemstones are really resonating, but it's really powerful to have them in a little medicine bag. And a lot of people wear them on a necklace and or a cord in a bag, and then have it right on your sternum, right where that great white owl and that purple divine dolphin, that energy becomes that Lemurian connection within. And those stones are carrying DNA memories. Okay, so it's fun to go out and find those stones, and your highest self will guide you, obviously, your Lemurian self. So I hope to hear back from some of you that what your experiences are about playing with that medicine bag. I would also like to encourage you to consider having a personal reading with me, or a short galactic report, or both, because we can certainly look for these connections through your birth chart. I can go deeper into personalizing it for you. So the best way to connect with me is through my email, which is universallight@att.net. Also, if you would like to be entered in a little contest to get a freebie from me, please subscribe to my channel, which is at Bhakti Galactic Healing, and then email me you're interested in being entered in the contest. And I will contact the winner through my email. So I need your email, absolutely, but definitely we'll look to see if you have subscribed to my channel. And I hope we can connect. I would love to meet you. And I want to thank Julia and the entire QSG team for all of their help with doing this video and getting it out to you, but especially to my granddaughter, Adriana, who has helped me greatly with this video. I couldn't have done it without her. So blessings to you, Adriana. And if you haven't seen us, we are Heart to Heart Astrology. So we have many videos, and we are on the Galactic Astrology channel through Julia. And we hope that you will watch our videos that come out usually once a month. So thank you so much for watching today, and many, many blessings. Namaste.
It is a pleasure for me to introduce Adriana, an intuitive galactic astrology practitioner specializing in soul readings that explore past lives on Earth and across galactic realms. Adriana uses fixed stars within galactic astrology as the foundation for interpreting soul histories and recurring ancestral patterns. She also brings over 6 years of experience as an intuitive tarot reader, blending tarot and oracle cards with astrology to add symbolic depth and experiential clarity to her readings. Her fascination with astrology began early through books and self-study, supported by her grandmother Caitlin, who guided her deeper into chart interpretation. Her interest in starseed material, including the work of Dolores Cannon, eventually led her into galactic astrology and quantum soul guidance. In her presentation today, Adriana shares her intuitive findings related to the Lyra constellation. Over the past 2 years, she has worked within many individuals who carry strong Lyran signatures, uncovering striking parallels in their soul histories. She explores the Lyran story of a disrupted paradise realm, great conflict, and the search for sanctuary, themes echoed across mythology, channeled material, and her own reading experiences. Adriana presents intuitive evidence through repeated past life oracle cards appearing for clients with strong Lyra placements. You'll learn about common ancestral patterns rooted in Lyra, the Greek mythology of the Lyra constellation, specific oracle card themes that recur for Lyran souls, how to heal ancestral soul lineages, galactic astrology insights involving Lyra for 2026. This presentation is an open invitation to anyone who feels drawn to Lyra, whether or not Lyra stars appear in your natal chart. Please join me in welcoming Adriana to the summit. Welcome, Adriana. So great to see you here.
Hi, everyone. My name is Adriana. I'm a galactic astrologer, and I use the name Starry Sky Readings for all the different types of readings that I do, mainly astrology and with a very strong focus on past life readings. I was trained by my amazing teacher, Julia Balaz, with Galactic Astrology and Quantum Soul Guidance. So I'm very grateful to be here and part of this year's summit again. So happy to be returning to this. Thank you all for joining me with this presentation. As you could probably tell from the title here, this is all about the beautiful Lyra constellation. I, of course, felt very guided to dive into this particular constellation because I myself am connected to Lyra, and it is a very big soul expression in this current life for me. And I wanted to reach out and present my insights to those of you who are also connected to Lyra. I also want this to be a video for maybe those of you who may be just interested in learning more about Lyra, if you've heard some things about it, as well as those of you who feel you may have actually had a soul experience there, even if it's not showing up in your galactic natal chart. So I want this to be, open for all to explore and to feel into. And of course, if you would like more insights on this and to see if you do have star connections from Lyra, you can go to our free Galactic Astro Chart calculator on the galacticastrochart.com and plug in your details and see if anything does come up. Of course, though, keeping in mind, like I said, you still may have soul experience from Lyra. For the past almost 2 years now, since becoming a galactic soul reader, as I like to kind of call myself to give a label, I have connected with many of you fellow Lyrans. Some of you want to say starseed, those of you who have these star connections. And I think it's, just no wonder, because I also have that very strongly expressed through my own galactic natal chart. So I think I do tend to attract those of you who also have this. So I would like to share some information and my own intuitive insights that I've gathered just from this past, over almost 2 years now, and to really bring kind of an awareness and illuminate this information. I feel that it hopefully will solidify some of the channelings that have been done and other things and feelings, dreams that others of you who have these connections have had. So some of you might, listen to this and realize that there's others of you out there who are experiencing many of the same themes. So going to touch on ancestral patterns that are coming up and themes that seem to show up for us who have Lyra star connections. I've also been an intuitive tarot reader for the past 6 years, but I've really done divination pretty much my whole life, and using oracle cards, even tarot cards in my readings is something that I do. So I, of course, want to bring up some of these past life cards, which I do use these past life oracle cards by Doreen Virtue here and Brian L. Weiss. There's some cards that come up quite often with those of you who have Lyra connections. So I do want to share what those cards are and talk about these again, these patterns that seem to come up for those of us who have the Lyra connections. At the end, I will be sharing some astrology insights that I do see for the beginning of 2026, this year, having to do with the Lyra stars. So something that I feel is significant for those of us who have connection to the Lyran stars. Okay, so I am just going to dive right in by starting off with the mythology. I love Greek mythology. I include mythology in my reports where I feel it, fits well with it, and just to give it a little bit of history with the constellations. So Lyra is based on the instrument called the lyre, which is one that was very popular during ancient Greece. And I, funny enough, have actually connection from a past life having to do with either ancient Greece or ancient Rome. So perhaps some of you may also see that in past life connections as well. So let me tell you about the mythology with this instrument. So the lyre was created by the Greek or Roman god Mercury, or Hermes would be the Greek name, and then given to Apollo, who is the god or deity of music and healing. Many of us who have these stars, the Lyra stars in our chart, may feel inclined actually to polytheism, including working with or giving offerings to Apollo because of this star significance here. Or you might find yourself to be someone who is naturally a healer or into different arts such as music and anything creative. So in this tragic Greek myth, Orpheus, I don't know how many of you are familiar with this, it is a very sad one, but Orpheus ventured into the underworld and played a song on the lyre to Hades and Persephone, the rulers of the underworld. And he was doing this to try to win back his love. Her name was Eurydice. And they were so touched and moved by this song that was played on the lyre that they actually allowed him to bring her back to the mortal world. However, he was not supposed to turn to look back. Unfortunately, as these, Greek tragedies play out in these myths, he did indeed look back because he didn't trust. He didn't trust in the deal, and then she vanished, going back to the underworld. So, just giving a little bit of a Greek mythology context of this instrument. But the lyre was eventually placed into the heavens at the request of Apollo. So I think even Apollo in this myth too was moved by this act through playing your emotions through and to express through music. And again, I think that is something that a lot of us with Lyra connection may not get a lot of credit for, is having a tendency to be very creative. And some of you might even be inclined to music, or even if you don't play an instrument, feeling the emotions through music. So yes, this constellation was then placed in the heavens here, and it is depicted as the shape of this instrument, thus it becoming the Lyra constellation. This constellation is of the nature of Venus and Mercury. So very beautiful with those two energies. So I do want to give a very brief little context on the channeled history of Lyra, of this realm. And this is, of course, up to your own discernment. This is information that I do feel resonates, and I am bringing this up because of the cards that I pull, those past life cards that come out when I connect with people, really sync up to what these channelers have picked up on when it comes to Lyra and what happened here and how it has affected many souls who have had an experience there. So that is why I'm going to briefly talk about this. So again, it's up to your own discernment, of course, as I tell everybody, even if it doesn't resonate for you, you may still find that the cards that I will present may have some meaning to you and may apply to you and your experience that you are having currently in this life, which may be remnants trickling in from that soul incarnation, that soul experience you had. So this is coming from Lissa Royal Halt, which she does have a book, which is called The Prism of Lyra. There are others who have also channeled similar information. And in a nutshell, there was this realm in Lyra, many different realms, I'm sure, where this was basically a paradise, maybe even a sort of Garden of Eden. It was infiltrated and taken over by some outside beings. So this was the big trauma that happened, the trauma and drama that happened here and has affected many of those souls who had connection there. So there was a battle, kind of like the battle that you hear described in many ancient texts too. So just food for thought, but a battle, this great battle in the heavens here. So this soul trauma has been felt by many Lyrans, even to today, with different issues that come through, which I will be sharing in a moment here. So there was a great battle that had played out, and it felt like a very spiritual battle. And I say that not because I'm a channeler, but through the readings that I have done. It does feel very much, looking at the astrology and the cards that come through, this big battle that impacted many souls. Some of you may have been warriors. I have gotten some of the warrior-like cards that come through. Others of you were not able to fight. You had to just kind of flee. But even the warriors, I get through the readings that even they, they fought their best, and even they had to flee and seek out refuge elsewhere. So I bring up that channeled history because in the readings I've done the past almost 2 years now, and I've connected with many of you who have Lyra star connections, probably because I also have that in my chart. So of course, we probably get drawn to each other. The Orphan card. This card is one of the most popular cards that come out through the readings. This entails abandonment issues that have trickled in from this traumatic experience that happened in this realm. This could have been literal too, where you actually lost, family. Perhaps they were warriors fighting this battle, or got separated even. That has come through in certain readings as well, where you were actually separating when trying to flee from this happening, this takeover that occurred. So this then manifests in our current human lifetime as abandonment issues, and even going into the sense, and this is a huge one, trying to find a sense of home and even family. Even if it's not blood-related family, finding your soul tribe. This is a big thing for many of us who have Lyra soul connections in our chart. Or even, like I said earlier, if it's not in your chart, if you feel that, you might have had an experience there or connection there, this comes through a lot. So trying to heal those abandonment issues can be something that is major for us in this current lifetime now. Feeling a sense of safety and finding a sense of security, right? Because there's lack of security, right? If you're abandoned, if there's not a family structure, there's not a home to go to, a place to call home. And that is one of the main, I think, probably the top number one thing I would say for those of us with Lyra connections is to find our place of home. And sometimes, it sounds cliche, but home is where the heart is, right? Finding our own sense of home here and safety, security. And we're doing this on the physical level here now. One of the other many cards that come out, I'm kind of grouping these together because they all really mean the same thing. It has to do with leaving or travel. Basically getting out of here, getting out of that situation. Again, because there was a takeover and you had to find safety. You had to retreat. Transportation also goes along with that. So this card comes out, as well as ships. Ships comes out quite a bit too. And that could even be interpreted as maybe even some sort of light ships, or, ships beyond our current human comprehension, portals, go into different realms, which some I feel have done. And when I've looked at different charts, I've seen Tau Ceti come up, Sirius as a possibility as well. So those of you who may have that in your charts, something to look for. Tau Ceti is in the Cetus constellation. And then, yes, there's also the Sirius stars. So it could be Sirius A, B, or C. Those stars do come up as well as many others. And some of you too, that could have actually been that you were choosing to incarnate. So I know this sounds a little grim, but if you didn't maybe survive what was happening, you made a soul agreement to say, well, not going back there, let's go, here. Or maybe you even came to this reality here, which involves Earth and an ancient Earth civilization. And that is, again, something too that I look at with past life readings. So I do all of it. I cover it all. Realms, ancient civilizations on Earth, and then different realms that you may be connected to all the way down the line there. And we do have to remember that time is actually non-linear, but that is the best way for us to kind of understand it and explain it, especially doing a reading too. I feel like I have to kind of explain it in a linear fashion so you can understand, but do know it's maybe more spherical, I would say, in my own personal opinion. Maybe my mind will change later on, but it could all be happening at once, right? So do keep that in mind. And that is exactly why, though, you are feeling these things manifesting now. So those abandonment issues, the sense of needing to find a family, a sense of home, this becomes so important for many of us. And even in your past Earth lifetimes, you may have encountered the same issues. Also, another one too, going off of that, being taken advantage of, because that's what happened, right? With that story, this was on a huge level, of course, but on an individual level, you may have to look out for being taken advantage of by others, especially those who see your light and wanting, that's a whole topic for another video, but being careful of that, being mindful of that, and learning to set healthy boundaries. This is an important lesson for us to learn, for everyone to learn, not even those of us with Lyra star connections, but everybody here, to set healthy boundaries, knowing when to do that for yourself and for all parties involved. So remember, if you are having that feeling of missing home, now it's time for you to learn in this current incarnation now as a human being on Earth, having this experience, this crazy but also very beautiful experience, how to integrate that home is where the heart is here. And that does take me into my astrology that I want to share, which is about Jupiter in Cancer, very much aligned to home is where the heart is. Cancer is all about the home and family, and Jupiter expands on that, and I feel aligns to our heart chakra. So I will share my screen so you can see the different alignments that I will be touching on that I feel are very significant, especially in particular with those of us who have Lyra connection. I do feel like 2026, especially the beginning, even the end actually that we've just gone through of 2025, has probably felt very significant in some part of our life for those of us who have Lyra connections. So this might have already been happening, or you're going through it right now. So, or it's on the horizon here for you. So, and it's nothing to be scared of. It is definitely a growth period for many of us. Okay, so Jupiter has been in retrograde since the 11th of November 2025. It is in the beautiful sign of Cancer, which again rules the home, family, and also healing and spirituality. And Jupiter, the planet itself, is also, I feel, a very spiritual and expansive planet. Almost like a teacher, I would say, like the planet Saturn, but I feel like Jupiter actually expands on what we've learned. So, you know, Saturn kind of brings in the lesson, but then Jupiter says, okay, well, what have we learned now? And how can we grow from this, whatever this might have been, whatever the lesson was? And it expands on that structure, and even goes into spiritual realms, especially with beautiful Cancer here. So when we're in retrograde, it's really having us backtrack and go, wait a minute, we missed something. So we have to maybe sometimes take 5 steps back before we can move 5 steps forward. So that's exactly what that energy is like during this retrograde with Jupiter. So again, it started back in November and it's currently happening, and it will be going on till the 11th of March 2026. So the next couple of months here. Ever since it started, so here is this chart, making it bigger so you can see better. Here is Jupiter in Cancer. Again, this was back when it started. It was at 25 degrees, very spiritual with that degree. And it is opposing directly Sulafat and the M57 Ring Nebula, which is in the Lyra constellation. So we have this opposition continuing throughout this whole retrograde. Now it will change. It won't stay in Sulafat. So again, that's where it started off with. I personally have Sulafat in my chart. So definitely was feeling that back in November when that started off. And then we go into, so here's February, where it then changes over. And I know there's tons of stars there. Just ignore all of those. Just follow my arrow so you're not overwhelmed for those that are new to this. So here is Jupiter in Cancer once again. Now it will be in 15 degrees. Again, this is in February, and it is opposing, we have these stars here, Vega, Chiliac, M57, and then it's just come out of the orb of Sulafat. So if we go to the chart details here, if I can X this out, collective report, so go down to Jupiter here. So it is directly opposing Vega. So Sulafat will be kicked out by February and is opposing Vega. And actually, I think in January, January, I believe it'll still be opposing Sulafat. So, but yes, then it will go to one of the biggest and brightest stars in the Lyra constellation, which is Vega. Very tight opposition there with that tight orb of 12. That is in February. That is the day of the solar eclipse in Aquarius. So that might be, you know, something I would put in your calendars to take note of. That could be a very big shift. Obviously, a solar eclipse is, you know, usually something that could be big for anybody, but especially with that Jupiter retrograde opposing that here, with the Lyra stars, I feel this is a growth period. There might be some change that happens for some of you here. Aquarius, so the sun's in Aquarius here, so it might be something unexpected or unusual that gets shaken up. This chart here is in the 4th house, but it might not be, you know, depending where you live. Could have to do with maybe something with the home. This is the United States chart, so on the East Coast, so perhaps something dealing with home, family, and things of that nature is possible. Of course, with Jupiter retrograde in Cancer there, so this could be you might have those feelings. So again, think back to the cards that I shared. There might be some sort of shift with that around this eclipse where there is a major change that happens that illuminates, because it is the sun a solar eclipse, so it is impacting our ego, our personality, our individual self, our self-expression here. There could be something to do with those past things from those of you who have Vega connection in your chart here from Lyra that comes to surface, whether that is healing those abandonment issues. So this could be a great opportunity for that. So I'm just giving an example, but for everyone, you know, it's going to be different, different individuals, different experiences. But to give an example, it could be healing those abandonment issues if something has surfaced and has come up maybe before this in January, and this solar eclipse brings about a major change and opportunity for you to implement that change and healing. Okay, and then going over to the next month, March, so it will end. Jupiter, again, Jupiter in Cancer, retrograde will end March 11th, so it'll go direct. Even then, it will still be opposing Vega. So you can see here, and the sun is, by the way, Jupiter is, by the way, conjunct the stars Sirius as well. I did talk about this in my video actually last summer. There's a lot of Sirius alignments with Jupiter. So that is still going on. You could go back to that video actually, because it might still apply. Some of it probably still will. So yes, as you can see, it is still opposing Vega. So again, challenging us to look within ourselves as Jupiter goes direct and healing. It feels like a big release as Jupiter goes direct. It is going to release those things that we have been trying to heal and work through, whether that be abandonment issues, finding a sense of home and security. It is finally, it's like this weight lifting, it feels. And Jupiter in Cancer brings in the healing energy. So we have to, again, take 5 steps back, it feels like, for these next few months here. And again, you probably have been feeling it since November in order to move forward. Going back to move forward. I think that might have even been a quote from a book or something that I read or something I watched. But I think it's so true though. So you might start to feel, so hang in there, those of us who have these connections, hang in there at this time, work through those things and face those things that are there to challenge your growth, even if it feels uncomfortable. Because change can be uncomfortable, right? And having to face those things that we know is best for us and to get that sense of security. What we are doing is healing our ancestral lineage, and it is tough work, let me tell you. So we are here to do that, and we are here putting in that physical work. And I say physical because we're in a 3D, 4D reality. But there is layers to it, right? We're healing on an emotional level with those abandonment wounds, rejection sensitivities, and then finding, yes, our sense of home, but having the spiritual element on another layer too, and finding our spiritual sense of direction and purpose in this life. Not allowing ourselves to be taken advantage of, setting healthy boundaries. So these are going to be key themes that are going through here. And I think for many of you, you will start to feel by March, when Jupiter in Cancer goes direct, that kind of ease lifting with having more of a sense of security and safety within yourself. Because ultimately, you got to find that within yourself. It's all about the internal work first, right? Before the external. You can't keep trying to find the external things to the home, the physical home. It's finding that first within yourself and then making it happen out here, if that makes sense, hopefully. You can also, too, check where you might have 15 degrees, or maybe if it's a degree off 14, 16 degrees in your chart, because Jupiter in Cancer is in 15 degrees from February and March. Let me just double check that. Yep, from February and March there. So that is something you could check in your chart to see where it is impacting you as well. So that could give you maybe more specific clues. Of course, I could always do a reading on that for you. Those of us too who share birthdays, Capricorns, who have Lyra connection, I could always do like a solar return type of reading where it looks at the whole year, what you can expect, starting off the new year, having a sense of what's coming. So yes, this is with that 15 degrees too. It is affecting the mental activity, but also spiritually. So Lyra is really here. It's coming up to challenge us to have the opportunity to heal those things that we may still need to work on within ourselves that stem from those past experiences, our soul incarnation experiences that we had. So this is bringing those opportunities this year for those major healings. And it's, you know, for some of you, it could just be something small. For others, it could be something maybe a bit more bigger. And that'll depend on how you define it and your situation, of course. But I felt guided to share this information because I do think that this is something that is going to be affecting a lot of us, even those of us without the Lyra star connections, but specifically wanted to focus on those themes that come through that are going to come up and surface during this time. I do want to share that I have a YouTube channel for those of you who may not know. It's Starry Sky Readings. I would love to see you all join in there. I do a podcast as well with my grandmother where we put out Galactic Astrology videos. Usually we try to do each month if we can, and I have my own videos that I like to share. I also am on Instagram, Starry Sky Readings, and you can also join my Telegram Star Fam group, I call it. Again, Starry Sky Readings. I do little special offers on there and just kind of like to have a little group to where I can be in touch with you all, because I feel like it is very difficult on social media, especially YouTube, even Instagram. So it's kind of like a nice little group if you want to join. I do little special offers sometimes, and horoscope, astrology updates on there too. So if you think that'd be something you'd like to check out, I'm on there. And to let you know what my free gift for you all is today, I am going to be giving away 3 mini galactic readings to the first 3 who email me. Please put the subject line Summit so I see that. Now, if you are somebody who's a past client who is trying to enter this and you've had a galactic report done by me, this could of course be swapped out with perhaps a tarot reading or a transit reading on what's currently happening. So I could give you like a mini look at what is happening this year and what I can see. So do keep that in mind, but generally speaking, I'm trying to offer a mini galactic reading for those of you who may want the opportunity to just get a little taste, a little look at your star connections and kind of get a feel of it. And if you would like to then get a full report, I do have my bookings open. If you want to book in for a full reading, I have many options. I'm very flexible and I can tailor it to whatever you're looking for. If you just want a report, I can always just send that. But I also offer as a full package to have a report, a recorded a recorded video of the past life cards, and also a live reading on Zoom with me that we would have for about an hour and a half of me going through your report with you and the cards that I pulled in your video on each of your connections. So it can be a lot of information, but so valuable, and it's yours to have forever and ever. Thank you for tuning into this and for checking this video out and seeing my insights that I had to share today. I hope to connect with you all soon, and Feel free to send me an email if you have any questions that you want to privately message me on. I'd be happy to try to help answer any of your questions or feedback that you might have as well. I'd love to hear your feedback, of course. And thank you, a big warm thank you again to Julia for putting this summit back on, and to also my fellow practitioners who have also helped put this all together, Sylvia and many others of you who have been in the background helping with this. So honored to be here again, and I so look forward to seeing what 2026 has in store for us.
It is my great joy to welcome Lizz Grace Christie, an interdisciplinary artist and astrologer whose work translates energetic and emotional frequencies into art, sound, and verbal expression. Lizz approaches astrology as poetry rather than prediction, an evolving dialogue between soul and cosmos. Her work explores the mythic relationship between star lineages, embodiment, and creativity as a language of remembrance. In 2025, her writing was featured in StarSeeds, The Soul's Journey, a collaborative book exploring incarnational memory and cosmic heritage. Today, her creative project, MAZEZ, brings together astrology, fashion, and sound into immersive, frequency-based experiences. In her presentation today, Lizz explores Ophiuchus, the elusive 13th zodiac frequency, as a symbol of human evolution and dimensional awareness. Blending cosmology, quantum perspective, and mythic storytelling, she reveals how the sacred number 12 structures our current reality and how the 13th frequency invites us to transcend it. Please join me in welcoming Lizz Grace Christie to the stage.
All right. Thank you, Julia, for that lovely introduction. Hi, I'm Lizz Grace Christie, your oddball astrologer, here at your service to deliver you a lecture on an oddball topic, Ophiuchus. I have decided to coin Ophiuchus the 13th frequency, something that came to me throughout the creation of this lecture. We'll explore why I have coined it the 13th frequency as we go through this. But for now, I would like to start with inviting you to relax and allow your imagination to take hold. This is not a traditional lecture. It is one that is alive. I am a student of Rudolf Steiner, the mystic channel, and very intelligent, scientifically worded and spoken mind of the late 1800s to mid 1900s. Rudolf Steiner believed that truth is something to be experienced and that truth is something that is living. So, in the words of Rudolf Steiner, truth is not revealed ready-made. It must be continually won anew. I would like for you to allow yourself to experience this lecture on Ophiuchus, the 13th frequency. I thought it would be fitting and helpful for you all to see what a 13th zodiac sign chart looks like if you haven't seen it. I'm sure some of you have. It's a chart that cannot be neatly split up into 6 equal pairs. It is a chart where you see the sign of Scorpio gets reduced down to about 4 degrees. Ophiuchus takes up a bit of Sagittarius, and it is through this 13th zodiac sign reading, because this is my chart here that we're looking at. I got it back in 2021 by a woman who goes by Raw Goddess Astrology. I discovered that I have an Ophiuchus moon natally in this 13 sign chart. In a 12 sign chart, I have a Sagittarius moon and I have a Sagittarius sun. In this chart, I have a Scorpio moon. A Scorpio sun. I made the cut. I made the cut in the 4 degrees of Scorpio according to a 13 sign chart. Do with that what you will as we move forward. So, this lecture has a lot to do with perception. Yes, it is Ophiuchus, but it is perception. Perception is the backbone of this lecture. Why? Because I'm sitting here talking to you on a 2-dimensional screen as a 4-dimensional being who can perceive a 3-dimensional reality. How you're perceiving me now is a lot different than how I'm perceiving this experience. I'm 2D to you, and you're all completely invisible to me. But that doesn't mean you don't exist. Just like how Ophiuchus totally exists, even though it's not included in the traditional 12-sign zodiac wheel. I wanted to share a little story to ground us in Ophiuchus because it is so enigmatic. And this story, it's a fun one and it's short. So the other day, I had some friends over. We were all making sock puppets together, which is something I do weekly on Tuesday. It's called Sock Puppet Tuesday. Yes, a bunch of adults come over to my house and we craft for hours and we put on Jim Henson movies on the television to keep us inspired and to keep us goal-oriented because, in my opinion, Jim Henson's puppets, or rather the company and factory that was working with him creating puppets, are the best and my favorite. I miss puppets. They should have more puppets in movies. Anyways, we were making sock puppets, crafting, having fun. And my friend starts saying that this sock is the color red. And everyone in the room is disagreeing because that is definitely an orange sock. We're all saying, it's orange, it's orange. And then he goes, the person that sees it as red, I am shade impaired. And we're like, what is shade impaired? He's like, okay, I'm colorblind. He's colorblind. But he prefers shade impaired because he can see color. He just sees a different hue, a different intensity. So one thing that's fascinating is that about 10% of the world's population expresses the gene for colorblindness. It affects about 1 in 12 men, and it affects about 1 in 200 women. So it's something that men express more than women. But all things aside, 10% of the global population is affected by colorblindness. So that says that 10% of the world's population doesn't see color, or at least the colors that we, the other 90%, perceive. But that doesn't mean that they don't see color. They're not colorblind. So, with that being said, the enigma of Ophiuchus. Ophiuchus is the colorblind 10%. It is a sign that has been having to hide in the shadows and pretend like it doesn't see color or exist just for our modern perception of reality to exist. And I say this because it encompasses the number 12. It encompasses the number 13, one step beyond 12. And the number 13 isn't a clean, even number. It's a prime number. Whereas the number 12 is a even number. And it is a sacred even number that we find encoded throughout the matrix of our three-dimensional reality and how we measure it. 12 months, 12 hours, 12 Olympians, 12 apostles, 12 fundamental particles that declare the building blocks of material reality as we know it. 12. It's everywhere. It's also a number that is limited to the three-dimensional reality. If we break down the number 12 in numerology, that is to take 1 and 2 and add them together, we get the number 3. The number 3 is a very holy number, wildly holy number, because the number 3 carries the energy of change, evolution, and the witness. Why? Hear me out. When two opposites meet, male and female, and become one, the fusion of them creates space. In physics, one single point just is. When we take another point, we have a line. Now we have two-dimensional reality. And now the third creates the perception of depth. To add an esoteric layer to it and a poetic nuance, when two opposites come together, they wouldn't know that they were even opposites unless there was a witness to tell them the difference, or rather mirror the difference. 3 points. 1, 2, 3. These points are always pointing to something. And what are those points pointing to? Well, for my exploration, it's a sum 1. Exactly. It's the sum of 1. 1, 2, 3. 3 is a prime number. You can't divide it into 2 equal halves. What you can do is you can divide it by the number 1, and almost by some miraculous mathematical miracle, you get 3 again. So 3 is inherently linked to 1. It is the mystery of the Holy Trinity, the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, or whatever have you, male, female, child, existence, relationship, witness, whatever. 1, 2, 3. 3 is also a number that is divisible by 12. A prime number that is divisible by 12. Neatly and clean. So with this all being said, that is the mystery of the Trinity in the number 3. It is a mystery that implies duality through unity. 3 being an energy of change, evolution, is implying that there is a fusion through the coming together of forces. There is peace to be made through the union of opposites. this is the challenge that 3 brings. Because in my mind, 3 also resonates with war in its lowest octave, which is something in our current zeitgeist we are dealing with globally and collectively. I wanted to get back into the grounding of the 12 sign system. So this is my zodiac chart. It might look a little intense because I work with a lot of asteroids and different fixed stars, like a lot of you who practice galactic astrology. One thing I learned recently is that my north node around the 22nd degree of Sagittarius is actually conjunct the fixed star Rosselhog, which is the brightest star in the constellation Ophiuchus. And like I said, I literally just found that out maybe 3 months ago, which is also interesting, and talking about this concept of living truth and the ability to trust our intuition on things that we are facing in the coming years. We are in a time of transition, and it's a time that the Hopi tribe from the American Southwest prophesized so long ago that we are splitting into 2 timelines, 2 realities here on Gaia. And I would argue that we are already there. That story I shared about my friend who's colorblind, 10% of the globe already doesn't perceive color the way that the rest of the human species does. We don't need to talk about animals. I know we're animals, but anyways, we're talking about humans here. And with that being said, there's 10% of the globe who, in my opinion, is using Earth's resources in a way that is advancing to a small amount of the population on Gaia, whereas the rest of the 90% are not advancing along with the use of those resources. And what I mean by that is that I'm talking about artificial intelligence. So when the Hopi received their prophecy, a few in their tribe were guided by star beings, higher beings, interdimensionals, to go underground. They went underground and they waited out the storm. That storm was a storm of earth, wind, fire, and water. The storm we're facing right now is one of minerals. The minerals that they put in technology are the minerals that we find in our own bodies. Silica, for example, which is used in computer chips to save data and memory, we can find in our own bodies. And in my opinion, I really like technology. Like, I'm here being able to share my thoughts with you all right now, which is amazing. It's in some ways a companion, right? Like, technology as a good companion allows us as human beings to grow. That's what a good friend does. You grow with your friend. Where I'm getting at is that it appears that there are beings who are growing with technology at an advanced rate and then leaving the majority of the population in the shadows, not inviting them to the party. Kind of like Eris not being invited to the wedding party. But unlike Eris, Ophiuchus is not going to show up to a wedding party they were not invited at and throw a golden apple. Ophiuchus will sit patiently in the shadows. Ophiuchus is Medusa, the rejected dark feminine, outcasted by Athena, a goddess who, in my opinion, represents the new female canon within the patriarchal archetype, or rather patriarchal society that we are all currently in, but transitioning out of. Ophiuchus is the poison and the cure. And Ophiuchus is something that we are moving towards perception of as we attune to the 13th frequency. And how we do that is through our hearts and our crowns, through our intuitions, and through our ability to be one with what is outside of us and what is inside of us. The Trinity is within us. It's not outside of us. The number 12 is a number that is perfect for this three-dimensional reality. That is why we find it everywhere. That's why it works so well in our 12 sign zodiac charts. In this reality, where things are dual, where there's this and there's that. There's us and there's them. And the only way it's ever going to unify is through us accepting ourselves as a global reality, as one whole species evolving together. I don't think that anyone listening to me right now will, in a three-dimensional way, be able to perceive the 13 sign zodiac system. And we won't do that as a collective right now. I think it's totally acceptable to incorporate Ophiuchus and the use of it through the fixed star Wasselhog, which is right here. But I don't think we need to be like all up in arms about how to understand it in a logical way, the 13 sign system, because we're doing fine right here, right now, where we are, where we perceive in duality. But it is through that duality that we can find that center point, that prime number, and use that prime number as a jump into the next higher octave of wherever. And I would like to bring up that in Demetra George's book, which I have right here, Asteroid Goddesses, she speaks on a time where there was one last zodiac sign. And I would like to read a passage from her book now to help you understand where I'm getting at here. So, without further ado, Demetra George's Asteroid Goddesses. And you can find what I'm reading in the chapter on the goddess Vesta. So here we go. In the original zodiacal belt outlined by the Assyrian and Babylonian cultures, Scorpio was symbolized by a serpent and directly followed the sign Virgo. What is today Libra was contained within the constellation Scorpio and was designated as the chale, the claws of the scorpion. The Virgo and Scorpio glyphs were similar in design, but contained subtle distinctions. The Virgo glyph, the M, matter, mother, was turned inward, while Scorpio, M, matter, mother, was turned outward. Hence her reign of supremacy. The ancient great mother goddess simultaneously manifested as both Virgo, virgin, and Scorpio consort. Only with the ascent of the patriarchal culture was Libra, sign of marriage, placed between Virgo and Scorpio by Greek astronomers whose society created an artificial duality in women's sexual identity. Interesting. What that says to me is that once upon a time, there was an odd number of signs in the zodiac wheel. And during that time, the great mother goddess reigned supreme. It wasn't till the sacred number 12 reality, the sacred number 12 frequency that we are all currently existing in and perceiving at, came in and divided us into two differences. And therefore, the rise of the patriarchy occurred. So, duality implies masculine, in my opinion, where one implies feminine energy. 13 is an odd prime number that cannot be reduced into two clean halves. The feminine cannot get reduced into two clean halves. It's chaos in its essence, right? Do you see where I'm getting at? What I'm saying is that for our children's children, they're moving into a reality that is non-dualistic. And we are the pioneers of that right now. Through the observation of where we're going right now, through our heads, we can tap in to the space-time reality beyond it through our practices of going inward and being still. This is the difference between the words outer space and inner space, right? In my opinion, it's ridiculous to think that the only way that we can traverse outer space is through a material object. There is ways to traverse outer space through our abilities to go inward and connect with the multidimensional realities that exist within every single human being on this planet. So what I'm saying is that we're all being met with the opportunity to attune with the 13th frequency here, right now, in this reality that's obsessed with the number 12. Because the number 13 is the next octave up to higher and higher dimensions. With all this being said, I think it's important to be aware of where we are. That's why I feel like perception is truly the backbone of understanding Ophiuchus, how we perceive things as a current species in whatever culture we are in on Gaia at this time. It's important because it's influencing us. And it is through the understanding of perception that we can move our perception to higher frequencies. We are moving into a time that is more akin to that of the era that Demetra mentioned in her book, Asteroid Goddesses, and to that of Lemuria. And of course, Lemuria was a feminine dominant culture. And I wouldn't be surprised if they, on their ecliptic, also experienced an odd number of signs. But of course, that is my speculation. I ask you to use your own intuition, imagination, and heart to understand for yourself. Don't take my words. Take your words. You are the sum of one. All right, y'all. For my freebie, I decided to give you guys a PDF of a pendulum board. So I'm a textile artist, and this is on a piece of canvas. The one I'm giving you, you can print out and use for yourself. But it is a drawing, essentially, with some energetically encoded and powerful symbols on it, aimed to help you tap into your intuition. You can print it out and put it on your wall. You can print it out and put it on your wall and take it off your wall and use it as a board, whatever calls to you. Either way, I so appreciate you all sharing your time with me and may you have a wonderful rest of your evening, day, or night. And may you all enjoy the rest of this summit.
I am delighted to introduce Kirk Brandon, whose journey of healing and remembrance has been shaped through life transformation. Kirk consciously began his healing path after the sudden passing of his father in January 1992, starting with energy work and Reiki. After becoming a Reiki master teacher, he taught Reiki levels 1 and 2, later expanding into body work, essential oils, sound healing, homeopathy, herbalism, intuitive guidance, craniosacral work, and galactic astrology. Through this long and integrated journey, Kirk has transformed pain into purpose, guiding others toward their true north and alignment with their chosen soul path. In today's presentation, Kirk shares insights into dipole repeller, Shapley attractor, great attractor, supergalactic center, and galactic center. He explains how astronomers currently understand these forces, how they interact, and how they may appear in the galactic astrology chart. This presentation includes visuals, and Kirk invites questions as a way to help each person find their own understanding. He encourages everyone to take what resonates, make it their own, and explore how these cosmic forces express themselves in personal and collective charts. Please join me in welcoming Kirk Brandon to the stage. Welcome, Kirk.
Hi, everyone. My name is Kirk Ryan Brandon. I'm going to be discussing the supergalactic points as well as the Shapley attractor, the cosmic womb, and her partner, the dipole repeller. I'll be discussing basically what they are and giving a little bit, breaking down the science to make it more simple and relatable, and how they relate with the supergalactic points as far as we are as human beings in our process, how the patterns that they have that we have growing up in life. So I'm hoping to make it an easier subject. And I'm not going to go through all the houses, but I'm going to discuss how they work in your chart, and it will give you a better idea of what houses they're in and how to focus on it and what that could mean to you. And I will be using a little bit of my own story and why I have a connection to these points. Not to talk about me, but just to give you background of why I became so interested in, once I began on my galactic astrology path with Julia's class, and why I'm so drawn to it, and the hypnotherapy sessions and the meditations I did that whole year, how it drew me there. I won't discuss the whole story, but it was quite a journey, and there were many other discoveries along the way. So I'm going to be putting up pictures and showing you visually as well. And I will start with my chart, but thanks for all coming here, and I hope you enjoy this journey with me. Let me just get to the... So this is just going to be a visual of my chart, and it will show you why I'm connected to those energies. And it doesn't show, these are the galactic charts that you will find. on Julia's site. You can get some of the planets and connections for free. If you take the course or get someone to do your charts for you, you can get all 64 connections. But this shows the Shapley Attractor, which is in the early degrees in the tropical chart. Tropical is the more modern astrology, and it goes by the equinoxes, it goes by the seasons. And in sidereal, it would be over here about 8 degrees. It's about 23 degrees different because it goes by the stars where they actually are in the night sky, and that's called sidereal. They still use it in a lot of the Asian countries. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later. However, the first thing I did want to point out is my connection. Dipole, it has not been discussed by experts yet and come to a conclusion of where they feel the central point is. However, it is a deep void, and I will show you diagram pictures that they have done scientifically and show you the relation and how they look with us in the middle. But dipole energetically in my meditations and what I've picked up is that it's pretty much somewhere opposite of Shapley because of the way they work together, and we'll get there. So the interesting thing for those of you new to the astrology in general, and we'll get to the more galactic stuff, but I just want to explain that dipole for us. Let me just pull up one of those pictures in a minute. Let's talk about this first. Dipole is considered like across from Shapley, and that would be 23 degrees, would be 8 degrees of Aries. Energetically, like I said, it's hard to find the actual central point of a huge void. But to me, the dipole always symbolized a void. It's not completely dead. There's a lot of stillness there, but it's like the void of source in a smaller sense in our part of this universe. These two energies work together almost like the masculine and feminine. But as we'll find out while I'm telling you this, they both contain the masculine and feminine within them. So when I break it down to make it easier to digest as a human being and how it works in our life, we have to remember that these are multidimensional points and they contain both the divine masculine and feminine. And that is shown here as Mars and Venus are rulers of Virgo and Libra, as well as, Scorpio, oh my gosh, sorry, Scorpio and Libra, as well as dipole is in Aries and Taurus. In sidereal, it's in the Aries, and in tropical, it's in Taurus, as well as tropical Shapley is in Scorpio, and in sidereal, it's in Libra, about 8 degrees on each, and around 2 degrees in the tropical. Now, how these points work, from my feelings and what I've looked, how the energies present scientifically as well, which I'll show you a chart soon, is the dipole is where thought is created. Like it wants to be the potential energy that wants to come to life. And Shapley is like the womb. So the void is spreading and wanting to create, and Shapley is pulling all that energy and combining it because there are many multiples of galaxies, and it's a very condensed place where life is building, just like in our little Milky Way galaxy, but this is bigger than us, and we're in the middle of it. And these energies are on both sides of us. So even if you get someone to pull your chart and it doesn't show that you have a direct conjunction to it, and the conjunction's pretty wide, it's about, they say up to about 12 degrees for both. Either way, they are on both sides of us always. They kind of connect, meld in together, but they do have their separate expressions, the void and the physical. So it's more like what I would say is the masculine thought form, and then it impregnates the Shapley tractor womb. But they do both contain the Mars and Venus energies in each one. And Scorpio makes sense to have the womb, as well as Libra, because Libra is where things are decided, and it's very intentional in Libra, as well as Scorpio, which is the deep underworld, which you could consider, and it's a water sign, so you consider it like where we grow in the womb before we come out. And before that, we were a thought, and our fathers, or whether artificial insemination, however it worked, that was that energy. And then the womb is the Shapley. And we'll get into how they connect to the galactic center, supergalactic center, and great attractor as well, because those all fit together and they're all stages, just as going around the chart. Even though my chart is starting at Leo, and this is a whole sign chart, I did not pull the Placidus because it's a little too confusing. So whole sign is just easier to look at. But normally Aries is the first house. And in the sidereal, where the stars actually are in the night sky, that's where the void dipolar teller actually resides. But in the tropical, it resides in Taurus. And both make sense because Taurus is the sensuality, wanting to be in the physical form. And it creates through Scorpio. But here in the sidereal, it's also Aries wants to be, it is where we first come into this physicality, where our fractal part of our soul comes into this physical body to experience this expression of our oversoul, or ourself, as a tiny focal point of experience. And that's through Libra. And Libra is the balancer, but it's also, like I said, every Libra's in their powerful balanced form are very intentional. They're good at strategizing, and that's when something wants to come into physical, you need the strategy and the intention to have it happen. So they both make sense in either sidereal or tropical. And if you go to see someone, I wouldn't say one was better than the other. It depends on the person who's interpreting it, because there are many things that people can find from each and using their own intuition. And there are some, like me, that if I feel directed, I will pull from different charts, such as the sidereal and the tropical. I mostly focus on tropical. That's what I learned, and it does make sense that we are humans with seasons, even though the stars were kind of like a blueprint when we came in. They're both very potent in the draconic chart as well. But I won't confuse you with that. Let's get back to Shapley and the dipole repeller. Now, this is why I have the connection to it, because my Saturn, which is the expansion planet, is within Shapley. And that's the expansion through form. And then my Saturn, which is normally the planet of boundaries and physicality, is in my dipole repeller. So I've had many years to come to terms with that balance. And last year seemed to be my, even though I've been spiritual since I was very young, and when I say spiritual, I mean aware that there were things out there that were bigger than us, and that I was part of the cosmos. Because everything is actually spiritual, because it's all from source. But being interested in movies like Star Wars when I was 7 or 8, and I saw it, and I just felt it was, that is something that exists out there. And that's just the way I thought as a child, and that everything's connected somehow. Now, we all feel disconnected from source, and that's part of the experience here. There may be some that remember more, and there may be times in your life if you needed to experience that disconnection to understand human existence, and to have more compassion and understand things. You might have disconnected yourself at times, or things happen in your life that pulled you away from that, made you forget that you're connected to source, even though inside we all do. But things will pull you away from that and make you feel disconnected, so that you can experience fully the traumas and the disconnect from source, which is, most trauma is when you feel disconnected. That's why people want to escapism and do all these other things like drugs or addictions of any sort, work, relationships. But we learn from them, hopefully, and we move forward if we're working consciously with the planets and the alignments with our galactic families, the fixed stars. So these are just a few of them, and it's only because These have conjunctions. That's what shows on this, but you can pull all 64 stars if you get someone to do the chart for you. They can pull all 64, even though they're not a conjunction or opposition. And there's a lot more to the chart, but the ones that are showing are my direct conjunctions. So with that out of the way, explaining that both have the masculine, the Mars and Venus, and the Mars and Venus. So both the masculine, divine masculine expression and the divine feminine expression both hold both. And we've talked about that. So I'm going to share a different screen now. And it's going to show you how Shapley, the great attractor, dipole repeller, and it doesn't mark the supergalactic center, galactic center. We can kind of show you where it's at. And I just like this picture right here. So we are in the Lemuria supercluster that includes a lot of the galaxies and constellations in our area. Some of them are outside, kind of in the almost like the womb area. This is the scientific view that they've gotten from all their x-rays and all the measurements they use. And I will share a link to the video that this came from because they do deserve credit. It's a very short 5-minute video, but it can be very technical as far as astronomy and the energies they're talking about. Is not quite in the spiritual way, but it makes sense. Once you really connect to spirit, you can see everything as patterns and connect it all. So here's the dipole, and you can see how the energies are moving around, and same with Shapley, it's kind of going back and forth. And we are over here in the local group, so they are maybe perhaps not technically opposite, but the great attractor is what pulls that energy down. And just like when a woman gets impregnated, it doesn't go straight to the ovaries, into the eggs. It goes through and then it comes around and it starts to grow and gestate here. Now, there are already a lot of galaxies and planets and stars and systems existing in Shapley Attractor, but there's always new ones being created as other ones die off. There is no chicken and the egg because it's all source, so it all kind of, well, let's not get into that, but all things are happening at once. But we experience them linearly here because it's the easiest way to focus, have focal points, and time helps us to delineate. Otherwise, there would be no purpose to have physicality if we weren't to have those separations and feel like there is some kind of a, I don't want to say illusion of time. It is, but it makes it sound like it's not real. We do feel it very real. However, when you leave this, when you get to a different dimension of energy, you won't feel it as much and you will have a deeper understanding. In these brains, though, we were designed to really focus on these moments and to learn a lot quickly here. Things are different in other dimensions, and this is like a school of hard knocks, and not in a bad way. We all intended to come here. Everything is intentional in the universe. You do have your own way to go and your own path, and eventually you'll get there. It could be, but because you're watching this summit, I would say that you're on the way to wanting to be very conscious, or you already are. And that's the work that most of us do. I do a lot of the transformational work, but that's because I have the Akinar, which is what we call at the end of the river, or Radnus, which it's also called the end of the hero's journey. As you start at the star looking at Rigel, there's Radnus is a very long constellation, and it's got many stars in it. But it's going through the journey of the hero's journey. You start off wanting to see why this light's so bright in Rigel and Orion, and then as you go journey along the river, you have many challenges and many victories, and then you get to the end of your road, and then you process. And that's Akinar. It's the anchor holding you there, but it's a process. Now, some people don't get through this hero's journey in just one lifetime because we are given free will. However, where you designed to go, whether you move to further off your path in this life and we're not working consciously with it in other past lives, because if you're here, like I said, you're starting to work consciously with it. And even though I was connected since I was very young, there were times where I felt really lost and really pulled by different addictions and things. And it took a lot of work and really awareness, but it also gave me a lot of compassion and empathy for people here, because for me, I believe this is my first human physical experience. I've been a watcher for a long time, and I understand a lot of the galactic history and the history of Atlantis, Egypt, and things even further past the millions of years ago on Earth and the life forms here. But we're focusing right now on the now, because that's what we're here for, and this is where we're moving to a different octave. And when I say different octave, some people call it ascension and all that, but I don't like those terms, because to me, it's making something sound better than what we're living in now. And everything is meant to be, and everything's intentional. So even though things look a little bit dark, they're much better than they used to be in the Middle Ages. And the awarenesses are coming to more people, and we are moving forward and coming together as a collective more. So there is beautiful things coming. I don't know how long or how quickly it's going to happen. It depends on it just depends on the divine collective, the humans collective, humanity as a whole. There's got to be a critical mass, which we are seeing it changing, and more people are coming around to wanting to empower themselves and know that they are part of Source in a humble way, and wanting to help others, but also knowing they should love themselves and be empowered as well. Or like on Southwest Airlines, they say, put your own mask on first and then help others, because if you can't breathe, you're not going to be much good to anyone else for very long. So let's get back to the discussion. I think these points are important, and they just kind of flow. So if it's too difficult, you can ask questions. I am watching this with you, and I will do my best to answer all your questions in the chat. But here is the thought to form. We have the dipole, and its energy is connecting always with Shapley, and they're always exchanging energy, but we're talking about the actual functionality of the energy coming into life and creating life here. And the great attractor is that pull. In our charts, in your personal chart, the great attractor to me symbolizes your soul desire, what's going to pull you into the creativity and into what you're here to do. And it's going to pull things into your life if you're not following that as well. So just as people say Jupiter is a benefic planet and it's about an expansion, it depends on how you're working with it, because at times expansion's not good if it doesn't have anything in check. And this is the beautiful lesson I learned from having my Saturn opposite my Jupiter, and my Saturn being connected with conjunct the dipole repeller, which is expansive void. And another thing to remember is that the dipole repeller, they called it that because they didn't know at the time, but it's not actually repelling anything. It's a huge force, but the force is also being created by the Shapley pulling things into physicality, and that gravitational, I don't know if I want to say gravity, but that pulling together of things into physical that causes that energy to be pulled together for physical, and it's causing the void to expand as well. So as the life is formed in Shapley from the source thought, it's creating, and it created this, I just think it's beautiful the way we can relate, because of the way they picture it and using all their equipment and radar and their shuttlecraft that have gone out there, or satellites. It's just beautiful. That looks like an egg or a child being between the divine masculine and the divine womb of Shapley. And we are here, and we're all in this together. And the galactic center is going to be in Sagittarius. I don't know exactly where it's at on here, but the galactic center is like, if we're a child, we come into the world in Aries. And to me, the galactic center is not in Aries. It's in the late degrees of Sagittarius. However, it's kind of like when we first come into this world as a physical being, we're being bombarded with all this information. All this stuff is just kind of downloading. And until we learn how to work with it, and have it in relation to the world, it's just a lot of information. So none of these work without the other. And the Galactic Center, you can watch Julia's videos and other people's videos, but she has some great ones breaking down the Galactic Center through the chart, as well as, some of the other super galactic points. But the Galactic Center to me is where we're getting that download. And in our physical form, it's experiencing. When we're a baby, we're just getting all this stimulation from outside in this little physical body, and it's seeing what's out there. And when we start to interrelate with those around us, whether it's parents, whether it's in an orphanage, whatever the mother type, father type in your life are, or whatever influences that act and take those roles, that's the supergalactic center. We're learning how to interrelate. And the supergalactic center is the mastery. When you get to that balance point and have worked through it, that is the mastery of relationships. And then you go to the great attractor, where you've already gotten all this download. You learn how to interrelate it to the world, and hopefully in a positive way, and work through all of the dramas in your own life and the traumas, and are becoming more objective and more compassionate and understanding and allowing others their path. So what do I mean by that? Let's just say, instead of droning on about past traumas, you're working through it and looking at it from a different perspective, able to see, like, the people that hurt me, or the agreements we made for them to do certain things to me at certain points in my life, that I could get those experiences. I've let that go, and I can say, thank you for giving me that lesson. Thank you for playing that role that may not have been comfortable for you, to do that. And having to not forgive, but to let that go, because it was an agreement. And even though I forgot in this body and brain, in meditation and connecting with the one, source, it kind of melts away and it becomes more objective to me. And it took years and years for that, a lot of work and a lot of wanting it to be that way. And then, like I said, at just some point it started to kick in, and it wasn't just faking it till I make it. It became embodied in my being. So there's no resentment or hatred towards anyone that I've ever had experiences with. And I realize my part in it. It doesn't mean I blame myself. It just means that I see it for what it is, and it takes more than one person to create a situation. And a lot of them I lined up for myself, and I see why. It's the things that I learned along the way and who I am today. And luckily I had the Kundalini awakening last year, right before I went on my galactic astrology journey. So these things I'm telling you because everyone can do it. And those are the people I'll most likely be working with, are the ones that are wanting to evolve. I worked massage and body work and energy work since I was in my 20s, over 35 years. And, I learned the connection between different colors and minerals in our food and the plants and their energies, as well as some homeopathics, but mostly herbology, and just seeing the patterns and the connections between certain notes. They all connect. They're just different vibrations of similar energies. For instance, you could take a music note and you can attach a kind of color to it, which can attach the minerals, a certain mineral in your food, and they all heal and work with certain areas and certain chakras. And there are things in your chart, especially in medical astrology, that can show you these things as well. It becomes very intuitive, though. So when you're reading a chart for someone, you can go by some of the things you've learned, but a lot of it, if you're in tune, will just flow. And it's really great information. It's very empowering. I think most of the people I've met through the Galactic Astrology classes, they all have different specialties, but none of them just go by the book learning of the astrology. They use the galactic energies, the energies of the fixed stars. Some of them relate a lot to the different beings in those galaxies and what they represent. But a lot of it's their intuition and their beautiful perceptions. And I welcome all different viewpoints. I think it's very important. Luckily, my life wasn't perfect, but there were a lot of good times, and I did have a lot of support in some ways. And then there were things that I even chose on my own to go away and experience that were traumatic. And there were some things that were even sometimes from the people we love. There can be some things that are traumatic that isn't normally how they behave. But looking back at them and understanding the choices that we made even pre-birth, but it's also how we are able to cope being in this human body and forgetting part of our connection to source. And there, like I said, there's some people that don't have that level of forgetfulness because they didn't choose to, and that's not their path. But if you did, then it's not anything wrong with you. It's the path you chose, and there's a reason for it. And the more you understand yourself and discover, the more you will love yourself and say, I am connected to source. I am a beautiful part of source. I am a beautiful thread in the tapestry that is all things. Or I like to also say that you're the best violin player in the orchestra, or you're the best conductor. And the thing I love about the conductor is it's a perfect expression of what I feel as a leader. They lead by example. They lead by picking out the different people's strengths and not just playing to it, but they use their arms and their baton to encourage those players to be the best they can be and to get them to work together. And it creates this beautiful symphony that you couldn't have if everybody wasn't doing their best, no matter their role. Meaning, even if you're a janitor, that you can be the most grounded, beautifully spiritual being that just sheds light and inspires people around you just by walking through and connecting with people during your day as you're emptying trash or cleaning the floor. So that's why I say, if you understand your path and who you are, you don't want to be like somebody else anymore. You don't need something outside of yourself, because the universe is within us. It's not out there. This is why I don't like the word ascension, because we're not trying to go to some place that's out there and better and higher. We are going within ourselves to empower ourselves and see that universe inside. And if you ever meditate or lie down and just close your eyes and try to feel within yourself, then you will see eventually that you can see the galaxies and cosmos, the Shapley dipole, supergalactic center, galactic center, and the great attractor within your body, all the planets as well. We can visually see them in this human expression, but if you connect with source, you can feel it. And embodiment is the most powerful thing, because learning it, visualizing it, kind of experiencing it is more important. But then eventually you will embody these things and you don't have to talk about them as much anymore. So that is my description of an understanding of these energies. And I know they're way beyond that, and there's so much more. And they encompass so many different things within each of these supergalactic points. Yet that is how we connect with them and how they express through our human life existence. To us, it's easier to relate. Unless you're in meditation, you'll feel more of what I'm talking about, the multidimensionality of the dipole, Shapley, galactic center, even the planets. Like the planets, they're not exactly a personality. We try to explain them as a certain personality, but when you work with Saturn, It's not some malefic, tormenting, smack you around boundary kind of planet. It's helpful to show you the boundaries of working within this physicality that we chose to be in, to be here at this time in this physical form, and to go within and raise that vibration within that physicality and work with the collective. We're not doing this on a mountaintop, not anymore, unless you're somebody who's just holding the energy for others. Like I said, there we go with the perception again. Even my wording I have to change, because sometimes we say things and have to remember, no, that other people have different paths. I cannot put my path on everybody else. So if you find yours, and we can all certainly help you find your path and get you along the way. This is why her class is called Quantum Soul Guidance. If you don't take just the basic astrology, which is an amazing class too. But I'm going to show you another picture of these energies. And there we go. This is just another view. Oops. There we go. And it's a different perspective, like the movie Dead Poet Society, where Robin Williams stood up on the desk and said, "Get another perspective." This is Dipole again, and this is Shapley. And you can almost see the shape almost of the womb, but there are also so many different things you could connect with humans and our existence and animals and nature. Like for kidneys, things that are healthy for the kidney bean is good for your health, for your kidney. Things that are red like beets are great for your heart and circulation. I mean, these things are there, but people complicate them, and that was meant to happen. But now we're moving towards seeing all things and how they connect, and moving towards the oneness again. Well, I think that's about it for the Shapley and Dipole presentation. And how these can work in our life is wherever the dipole is, I would say that is your inspiration, your thought to form of things that you came here to bring into this world. The galactic center is things that are information that's being given to you from source on that path in this physical form, though. So it's like things that are downloading to you, but until you learned how to process it and relate it to the world around you in a balanced and harmonious way, and that means getting rid of attachments to anger, being able to, and that's, I don't mean just say you're going to forgive somebody and not, it's really understanding the situation, understanding the intentional choices that you made before coming here, and that those people weren't just here to hurt you and you're a victim. There were choices made on a soul level to have those experiences. Now we can stay in those experiences longer if when we're not consciously aware of it. But once you start to become consciously aware, you'll make better choices, put up more boundaries, and let Saturn be the guide there. Because Jupiter can be a beautiful planet and have a lot of expansion, but if this expansion doesn't have any structure, it can be chaotic and be too much, overwhelming. And this is how I think people can relate to planets more. If you think of them as living beings, like the Force in Star Wars. Source is in all things like the Force. It's neither good or bad. It's how you work with it. You can be a negative person if you chose that experience to be a catalyst for others to evolve and grow, and maybe you came here to play a bad guy. Well, that's what we would call it here as humans, but meaning you might do dark things and have chosen that path because it's a catalyst for others to evolve and to move more back to oneness. I do believe, though, that some people forget and they get lost, or they get addicted to the physicality, and they get addicted to the sensations here. And that was some of the things that the great masters, well, I don't want to say masters because no one's a master, but the ancient ones such as Buddha or even Yeshua, Jesus, that came here and taught us about moderation, and they had better explanations of why you don't do things. They didn't just say don't do it or it's a sin and you're going to go some bad place. They said, if you do this, these things can happen. So if you want to have things happen in your life that are more in line with what you want, aligned with your soul and where you want to be, then you will focus your energy you will focus your energy in that direction, and you will not keep looking that way. On a motorcycle or scooter, you have to ride and look at the road shortly in front of you. You want to keep your eyes looking in the mirror sometimes, but you don't want to live in the mirror looking behind you. And you don't want to look too far in the future because you will go off the road, because where you're looking is where you go. It's different than a car. That probably relates to the book Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Riding, or mechanics, something like that. But these are all just things that I learned along the way. And like I said, I knew them. I taught them to other people. But the embodiment happened gradually. And then when the alchemy hit, it was a surprise to me. And I woke up a dream. I started to have a Kundalini awakening, and I woke up and did not want to open my eyes for about 45 minutes. This is not going to be the same for everyone. But there is a moment where you're not even going to realize that as long as you keep reminding yourself when you're moving off that thought or moving off that path and going into anger, resentment, or victimhood, and bring yourself out of it and remind yourself what you're grateful for. And coming right out of the holiday season right now, it is important to remember to be grateful for what you have. There was a short period of 8 months that I lived in a car with a friend because we lost all our money and couldn't afford to live in an apartment, and I did not want to go home and ask to move in. It was too much pride, but I was still grateful every day that we at least had a car to sleep in, and we still worked doing flooring repairs for people's homes. They're renovating and kept a garage for it. And some people don't even have that. But my point is, anywhere you are, the more gratitude you show, things will start to show up in your life and move you in that direction. And even if not, it's just about changing who you are and how you see the world. And this is so hard to explain till you've been there, but things just open up when you let go of resentments, let go of thinking the world's out to get you, when you start to feel like you're being supported and you have gratitude for everything in your life. You share gratitude. I think I put out a video recently where I was talking about spitting out meat when I first got here on this planet. My mom told me I never would eat anything but fruit and vegetable baby food, but I learned because of being here to eat meat. And I'm not judging. I'm not a vegan right now. I don't eat a lot of meat, but I do think everything. Every time I eat, I don't do a big prayer, but inside I share gratitude. When I cook, I do run a little Reiki and I do energy. It's more of showing appreciation for that plant or animal or whatever it is, giving its life so that I can be nourished. That's what I'm trying to say, so that I don't ever judge. I did in the past, but I stop myself now because I did grow up all over the world. I do see that we're all the same and have the same desires. All the other details are, they matter to people that have them, but I allow them, if it's something I don't resonate with, I'm not going to spend time there, but I'm not going to judge or just hate that person unless they're trying to hurt somebody. Then you have to have your boundaries. You have to be able to stand strong in your own. And if you're empowered, that just happens. You don't even have to do it. It repels people that are not on your resonance of energy. And many of us are moving to that place. And from my meditations, and what I feel is that some of those disappearing civilizations that did have some left behind because their genetic lines are still here, but the Incas and the people in Machu Picchu, they didn't disappear, they just started vibrating at a higher level. But some of their kin that might have migrated to other areas still, or didn't choose to move into that vibration or couldn't do it. They were still here, their DNA. So that's my feeling on it. And I think it's important for everything that I've said, for everyone to have their own interpretation. And I love to hear different interpretations because it keeps my mind open. And there is no wrong interpretation. My perception of my growing up was very different than my brother. It may have been similar for the first small years of our life, but after that, his way that he saw the world was very different. Even his idea of our parents was very different than mine. So we all experience things in different ways, and it's important to allow that and accept that. And if they're not somebody that we can resonate with, whether they were born into our family or not, we have choices. And it's important to really not leak your energy on people that don't vibrate on the same resonance that you do. And the last thing I wanted to say is when you look at your chart, see what houses these supergalactic points are in, and see where that inspiration, that thought to form comes from, and where you're going to gestate those ideas and bring them about into physicality. Mine's in my 10th and 4th house, so my void and thoughts and ideas are what I want to be left with, I guess, in this world, and I bring it through my home in my 4th house. And that can be different for everybody. Home is not a place, it's not a destination. Home is a feeling in your heart where you feel safe, where you feel supported, whether that's with the family you're born with or the family you've chosen. And I'm going to see if there's one more picture that I have here to show. It's just a little more clear, and I'm going to bring that up right now. I like the ones that I showed you, but this one is, because of the background, it's a little bit easier to see. And it's been a real pleasure sharing this time. I'm not quite done yet, but I'm just kind of trying to wind it down a bit. So this is the more clear picture without the dark background. It does kind of look like hips. And then there's the womb. And what I meant when I said there's no chicken or the egg is because people can battle over that which came first for a long time. But as far as source is concerned, everything has always existed. So it's just, I would like to see it more as a part of the process, and that's the process of rebirthing oneself into, whether it's another physical existence or here or somewhere else, or even in different dimensional vibrations, because even rocks, even the ground, the dirt, the trees, they all have vibration, and they're not less spiritual than us just because they do not have the same brain and thoughts and complications. They're still a force of nature, and they're no less than we are. Rocks actually, in what we think of solid objects, when scientists, I'm sure most people have already heard this, but even things that we think are solid, when they put them under a microscope, their molecules and atoms are moving. They're just moving a lot slower. So I think that's very important when we look at perspectives in life. And a lot of us are here to repair family lines, because a lot of generational, especially born in Europe or areas where there's been wars, like in the Middle East, we came in and we're here to heal the ancestral line. So whether you feel attached to your family or not, you did make an agreement with that whatever situation you came into, whether you're given up early, um, they had an agreement too. They had to experience losing somebody or giving up their child or nurturing that child. So it's not just about everything I do, but I know I made my choices and made agreements with these other people, and they are to have their experience while I am to have my experience. And I have been fortunate that even though every relationship is challenging, because of my hard work on myself and to remember who I am and getting there more and more, my relationships have improved. And those that are not very beneficial to me have just faded away. I haven't had to cut anyone off. I haven't had to be nasty or put up my boundaries. My boundaries are here. And I know I still get tested and I have to watch how I respond to the world. But being in the moment and being mindful and connecting with the stars and the planets, and it's beautiful to know where they are all the time. I love being an astrologer. I mean, I've always had an interest and learned little bits and pieces, but when I took Julia's class, it blew me away. Ursula was an amazing teacher. Julia is an amazing teacher. And many of the people that I have met, I haven't met them all, but I see a lot of their posts. They're just all really amazing people with different ideas and different ways to get to the same thing. And they just use different tools and different methods, and some resonate with different people. But a lot of us have come together at different times, and I love collaborations, and they're fun. And George Lucas created Star Wars story and a lot of the characters, but he did have collaborators that made it the success that it was and helped him pull it together, because one person cannot do everything. And I love my one-on-one interactions with friends as well as clients, because that's when a lot of my information that I get from the Ring Nebula, which is a different frequency than the Galactic Center, but it is another source. So if you don't have a lot of these points in conjunction on your chart, it's not the end of the world, because there is something you're connected to. And if you feel connected to these points and you don't see proof of it in your chart, I guarantee that if you have somebody do your chart, they can find why you're connected to certain planets, certain constellations, certain beings. It's always there. It's like being a detective, but a fun detective where you can find things about yourself or about others that you're working with to help them find who they are and their empowerment. And as you become more mindful and you get more information, things start to reveal themselves in weird and interesting and fun ways. They'll come through the person at the grocery store. They'll come through a video that pops up from YouTube, and it'll just be drawn. And the more you get drawn to that kind of work on yourself, the more you're going to get positive feedback and to validation. I actually tried it one time. I said, and I believe this was before I joined the class, I just said to the universe, if this stuff is real, I want to see a video with this number 222, and I want to, or 2221 or something, and I said I want to see an eagle. And I had one other stipulation. It was the beginning of 2024 when Akinar was doing something huge in my chart around March, and well, for everybody, but the way it connected with my North Node, which one of these beautiful speakers might be talking about. I'm not going to get into it on this video, but North Node is the path that that's one of the moon's nodes, and it's where you're moving toward in this life. And the South Node is what you already have integrated and what you are comfortable with. And the North Node is kind of where you want to bring the balance between where you're moving towards and what you already know. But my North Node is conjunct Akinar, and that's why I've been so interested in the helping people with processing the end of their journey. And I love butterfly moments, phoenix moments, because I've had many of them myself, and they were not all fun. But I can see the power of them now that I look back, and I'm not emotionally attached to a lot of it. Doesn't mean I'm perfect and don't get triggered. I'm just saying that I have a different way of looking at it, and I catch myself when I start to go down that road and say, wait, I just need to be more grateful and see what the lesson is there. It doesn't mean I just let things be done to me, but like I said, the more I find that I'm staying aware in every moment and on my path, when I do slip, I can come back a lot faster. And then a lot of times those things, they're not as severe and they don't happen as often. So it's a beautiful journey. And there's hope for all of you because I did it and I went through a lot. And it doesn't matter how connected spiritually you feel, because to me, the world was weird and I was different and I didn't get tortured or beaten or anything. Well, not for that, but let's just say people didn't torment me for being different. They just thought it was interesting and quirky, and their eyes would glaze over when I talked about these spiritual things or the stars or palmistry, or some people were interested, but a lot of my ideas were just, they weren't ready or they just didn't care until like 20 years later. Then they say, oh my gosh, I know what you're talking about now, or 30 sometimes. So learn about yourself, empower yourself, and I hope that you all find someone that you can work with or do a lot of exploring on your own. There are many free videos, and I guarantee you Julie has a lot of stuff on her Julia Balaz's YouTube videos. Ursula has a lot of free stuff as well. But if you really want to pull it together, then I would recommend taking the course. Or if you just want to learn more about yourself, contact one of the practitioners and have them work on the chart with you. My YouTube is Divine Collective, and my Facebook is Kirk Ryan Brandon. Also, I have a Facebook that's Divine Collective, which I just don't use as much. I liked that name, but when I went to find a website, it actually worked out because it was more the work I do. And these links will be posted below, but it is www.quantumsoulalignment.com. And I thank you for your patience and being with me this whole time. And it wasn't a lot of technical information. However, I think we need to relate things more simply. They always say the devil's in the details, and I've learned, I did a lot of brainy things when I was young, and I had a lot of intelligence and wisdom, but I see now where it was interesting to learn the definitions and the delineations between things and how things worked. But then the more I grew into that and saw patterns, I started to realize that the more simple, the more patterns I saw and the more simplified, even though I could relate and tell people details, but I could relate it into something that's much easier for them to digest, or I could talk to people that knew a lot and bring it together. It's taking science and nature and spirituality and seeing the connections to all of them. Because in the old days when astrology and astronomy were starting, they were one thing. Somewhere along the line, just like the downfall, or I wouldn't call it downfall, but the declination of society was meant to happen. You can't always have a golden age. You have to have a point. It is intentional and designed, but we're also intentionally designed to move into a different frequency now. And a lot of people are making it happen faster than it was supposed to. Well, I can't say supposed to, it's all intentional, but it's how we as a collective right now, whether your soul has spent time other places or you're an angelic being or being like me that's been many different universes and a watcher in this one and this galaxy as well. We are in the physical form now, and we are here to experience it, and we are here to move things and to be a messenger or a healer or all of those. Some of us have multitask. Some of us are just here to hold the space and hold the light. So whatever you are, be the best that you can be. And I wish you all well, and I hope you had an amazing holiday. And I'm going to shut off this screen so I can say goodbye to you. And I hope you all have an amazing time, and I hope I was able to answer all your questions in the chat. And I know you'll be seeing this after the holidays, so I'm hoping you had a great restful time, or even if it was a little chaotic, I hope you had fun. Blessings to all, and if you get the chance, please take the course or come talk to me. I do free 10-minute consultations to see if your energy matches, or I can offer. But if you're on a journey of self-discovery and transformation, that's been my path, and I'm finally, the last couple years, it's really all come together. So have a beautiful one, and thank you for watching. Take care.
This was another incredible day. I feel so blessed to be connected to just the most amazing community I could ever wish for. Thank you so much to the bright, bright souls that shared their wisdom today. I'm so grateful to see the wonderful feedback and comments and amazing questions that you shared in the live chat. You're really making this feel so special. Thank you. As we come to the close of day 2, I invite you to pause for a moment and acknowledge the depth of what has moved through this space today. Today's conversations took us far across the vast cosmos and deep into ancestral memory through cosmic forces, paradox, alchemy, the new earth pathways, and the supreme intelligence of universe itself. And yet, everything we explored ultimately leads us back home, into the body, into presence, into our soul's essence, right? If today stirred something subtle or profound within you, trust that. Follow it. You don't have to name it yet. You don't have to act on it yet. Just let it grow. Let it integrate. Let it activate within your everyday life experience in its own time. Integration, it's a journey. It unfolds in layers. And as always, as you step away from the screen, I invite you to take time to consciously ground, hydrate, rest your eyes, do some conscious breathing, step outside, get some fresh air, put your feet on the ground. Let your nervous system reset, settle, ground, so that the wisdom and the frequencies and energy that you've experienced today can land. Remember that all the sessions you've witnessed today remain freely available as replays on our Galactic Astrology YouTube channel when you click on the live section, so you can return anytime. And before we close, I have 2 gentle invitations for you, both shared in the spirit of choice and generosity. If you feel inspired to support the energy and immense care and efforts that took place behind the scenes in organizing this summit, you're welcome to do so by visiting my website, juliabalaz.com/events, where you can purchase the ad-free replay bundle Your support is truly deeply appreciated. Thank you all so much if you've already done so. And please know that it's not just the financial support that's deeply appreciated, but also your presence here today. If you were able to join us live, or if you shared a beautiful comment in the replay comment section, it really means a lot to us that you take time to connect with us and share your feedback, share your love and support that way. It really means a lot to us too. And for anyone who feels the gentle pull to explore galactic astrology further, you're welcome to enroll in my foundational Galactic Astrology 101 course, or go all in and enroll in the Quantum Soul Guidance Practitioner program. You have a lifetime access upon enrolling, so you can take your time, let the journey unfold as you continue to expand your consciousness in support of our collective healing and remembering our wholeness. It's an absolute honor for me to be your guide, walking side by side you. All right, so tomorrow, as we come together again for day 3, we are going to explore incredible new topics. For example, places of power and ancient wisdom, starseed waves and planetary initiations, numerological codes supporting us, soul fragments and cosmic light, and how these currents express through lived human experience. Each day reveals another layer of the spiral of evolving consciousness. Thank you all so much for your presence today. Thank you for your openness and willingness to sit with this complexity and beauty of life. I look forward to welcoming you back tomorrow for day 3, and until then, enjoy a lovely afternoon, have a good night, enjoy your day wherever you are in the world, and integrate gently, embrace what is unfolding within you. I send you much love. I'll see you tomorrow.
Power of now is here now. The power of you, me, is here to create magic on earth. The power of love is here now. The power of now is here now. The power of you, me, is here to create magic on earth. Let the water wash away your tears. Let the fire burn away your fears. Let the wind blow into your life such faith and trust. Oh, let the earth hold you, take care of you, nurture you. Oh, the power of love is here now. The power of now is here now. The power of you, me, is here to create magic on earth. The power of love is here now. The power of now is here now. The power of you, me, is here to create magic on